Phoenix Nights. Chapter 830. In a hidden cave on the outskirts of the basin, a thunderous will of the Emperor shook the world, soared into the clouds, and stood proudly in the 9 heavens. In that instant, the souls of the countless beings within 1,000 miles seemed to be struck by lightning, and they trembled in front of this powerful intent. Boom! In the sky above the cave, a layer of majestic lightning clouds and winds suddenly condensed, and with this as the center, it formed an enormous multicolored vortex that threw the heavens and the earth into disorder. At this moment in time, the heaven-earth yuan-chi was like a tsunami as it surged into the center of the whirlpool. Within a dark cave, Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged, and a magnificent power surrounded him. A pair of wings of wind and lightning extended from his back, making him seem like an emperor. When in just a few breaths, the crystal core in Zhao Feng's hand started to dim. The energy stored in the heavenly water crystal lotus in his body was instantly compressed and condensed. Middle stages of the Great Origin Core realm. The size of the crystal core in Zhao Feng's body started to expand. In just a dozen or so breaths, Zhao Feng's cultivation had forcefully broken through by a small rank. Emperor intent! Not far away, Nan Gongxing's soul started to throb, and he felt like he was suffocating. The magnificent power intent radiating from Zhao Feng's body seemed to be able to cover everything. It's been a long time. Zhao Feng closed his eyes, and his emperor intent aura was quickly withdrawn. It was like a tornado that left as quickly as it came. If it was a newly formed emperor intent, it definitely wouldn't be able to control and conceal its aura so easily. In the next instant, from the looks of it, Zhao Feng was no different from a normal Great Origin Core realm, but if one inspected him closely, he would give off a mysterious feeling. In the depths of the basin, in front of the dragon-shaped cave, more than 20 geniuses and elites of the Sky Suspension Palace were waiting to be explored. Emperor intent. Surprise appeared on Xian Yuan's handsome face as he looked in a certain direction. In the distance, a trace of emperor's will suddenly appeared. He could clearly sense it through the ripples of heaven and earth. As for the other void god realm kings, only a few of them felt that something was off, but they couldn't explain it. Perhaps it's an emperor-level beast native to the divine illusion dimension. However, even if an ordinary great emperor were to come personally, he wouldn't be able to do anything to us, the apricot-robed woman said with a smile. After Xian Yuan mentioned it, she and Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, who was beside her, carefully sensed the aura. It doesn't feel like a demon spirit or an outsider. I feel like it's the will of a human emperor. Xian Yuan shook his head slightly. It's as if it had just woken up, but it swiftly retracted itself. The white-bearded old man's eyes were like torches as he scanned the surroundings. He also noticed Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing in the distant sky. However, one of them was a domain-level king while the other was only at the Great Origin Core realm. In the end, the white-bearded old man returned in disappointment. If the Sky Sword Pavilion was able to form an alliance with an expert with emperor intent, it would be a powerful alliance. Unfortunately, the owner of the emperor intent was very secretive. Continue deeper, the white-bearded old man exclaimed, and 10 powerful auras of the Sword Dao flew toward the depths of the crater. Sky Sword Pavilion. The expressions of some forces changed dramatically on the way. It's him. Senior Little Sword Saint Guyu. The elder in green robes from the Duanmu family couldn't help but take in a cold breath. That old undead actually entered the divine illusion dimension? Does he want to fight one last time before he dies? Jiu Wuji from 9 Darkness Palace had a wary expression. Some of the older generation elites knew a lot about the Little Sword Saint. In front of the dragon-shaped cave. So, it's the former Little Sword Saint of Sky Sword Pavilion. Those from the Imperials and Sky Suspension Palace looked over. Even Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge from Sky Suspension Palace couldn't help but reveal admiration and respect. Soon, the Sky Sword Pavilion became the 3rd elite group to arrive at the dragon-shaped cave. A while later, the elite groups from 9 Darkness Palace and the other 3-star forces arrived. Most of the people that entered were elite groups. However, there were also rare solo cultivators or groups of 1 or 2 people. Whoosh! At a certain moment, a flaming chariot arrived in front of the dragon-shaped cave at a shocking speed. Purple-haired demonic duo. Those two bastards. Many of the elites from the Great Gone Lord dynasty gritted their teeth with hatred on their faces. The two people on the flaming chariot attracted the attention of many elite groups. However, those two acted as if there was no one else present. They didn't show any fear or retreat as they faced the elite groups of the super forces. Instead, they even had an unfathomable smile on their faces. Many geniuses and experts had suffered at the hands of the purple-haired demonic duo before. Even though they had the numbers advantage, they didn't dare to attack. It's been more than a month since we entered the divine illusion dimension. That's more than 1/3 of the total time. Zhao Feng crossed his arms in front of his chest as his eyes twinkled as he scanned around. Among them, his gaze lingered on Xian Yuanwen's face for a moment. A trace of surprise flashed through his eyes before he quickly looked away. No one knew. This handsome youth at the Origin Core realm was the owner of the Emperor intent that had appeared not long ago. At this point in time, Zhao Feng's aura was concealed very well. He couldn't easily reveal his Emperor intent and true strength. Although Zhao Feng wasn't afraid of anyone present, he couldn't stand on the edge of the waves and attract the attention of all the forces. Chapter 831. The various superpowers' elite parties arrived before the scorched dragon-shaped hole one after another. A duo like Zhao Feng and Nan Gongseng was rather rare. It's these two thieves! You even dared to rob us, the great Qian imperial family. Where is the dignity of the imperial family? The 13th prince, who was wearing purple and gold battle robes, said hatefully. At this moment, the great Gone imperials gathered here and they were unprecedentedly strong. The 8th prince, 9th prince, and 13th prince were all present. There were domain-level kings like Luo Zun and the wrinkled elder. 8th imperial brother, 9th imperial brother, we can't let these two scoundrels encroach on the benefits of the ancient mysterious manor. Why don't we join forces and kill him before exploring the ancient mysterious mansion? The 13th prince instigated from the side with a dark expression. The 13th prince's group had been robbed by the purple-haired demonic duo back in the ruined ancient city. This enraged the 13th prince. Unfortunately, the purple-haired demonic duo managed to break out of the encirclement several times. From the looks of it, the purple-haired demonic duo seemed to be doing very well, and their evil reputation had spread far and wide. The 8th prince and the 9th prince looked at each other and hesitated when they heard the 13th prince's furious suggestion. That's him! The 9th prince's eyes focused as he stared at the purple-haired youth of the purple-haired demonic duo. Back then, when he was hunted by the Blue Serpent King Wei Jing, the young man had used the Blue Serpent King's talent domain to refine his body and escaped unscathed. If not for the guidance of this young man, he might not have survived until now. The 9th prince had complicated feelings about Zhao Feng. Yet it just so happened that this youth seemed to be shrouded in layers of mist, and he was strange and unpredictable. Even now, he was still unable to see through him. The 8th prince and Luo Zun were filled with wariness. Zhao Feng's appearance made the two feel difficult to deal with, as well as an inexplicable sense of disgust and helplessness. A few days ago, in the underground tomb, the 8th prince, Luo Zun, and the purple-haired demonic duo had worked together, but they didn't get anything out of it. Instead, they were almost tricked. Cough! 9th royal brother, we need to think about how to deal with the purple-haired demonic duo. Now is not the best time. The 8th prince slightly coughed. Even though the Imperials were extremely powerful, they still had powerful enemies like Sky Suspension Palace and Sky Sword Pavilion. That's right! The most important thing right now is to work together to get the ancient mysterious mansion. The 9th prince agreed. The 8th prince and the 9th prince quickly came to an agreement. They seemed to be wary of the purple-haired demonic duo. If the imperial family was like that, the other forces, such as the Jiang family, Duke Yuan's residence, and the Ji family, would have to be even more cautious and cautious. The 13th prince felt that something was wrong. Dealing with the purple-haired demonic duo was to protect the dignity of the royal family. Why were the two royal brothers not very proactive? Instead, they seemed to be avoiding each other. 13th Prince, don't panic! We need the right time to deal with them. It was not hard for the wrinkled old man to guess the reason after observing Xiao Chen's expression and analyzing the news. Obviously, the purple-haired demonic duo were notorious for being difficult to deal with. It could be said that it was a hard bone to chew. It was already a blessing that the demonic duo didn't take the initiative to rob others, let alone him. Xi and Wuhing! Some low exclamations came from the dragon-shaped cave. A green-robed man flew through the air and slowly landed on the ground. Brother Xian, are you willing to team up with us? The 6-star tower is willing to give you 40% of the profits. Xi and Wuhing! You come from the Imperials. Come and join us! The eyes of the leaders of the forces lit up, and they all sent out invitations. A group from a 3-star power was even willing to give up 60% of the profits. Xi and Wuhing's popularity far exceeded expectations. On the other hand, the purple-haired demonic duo made people want to avoid them and be wary. Xi and Wuhing and the purple-haired demonic duo's style of doing things were completely opposite. Thank you for your kind intentions, but I haven't decided which force to join yet. Xi and Wuhing remained calm and rejected all the forces. The leaders of some forces had regretful expressions, but they didn't force him. This brat has the demeanor of a Grand Master. His future is immeasurable. The white-bearded little sword saint from Sky Sword Pavilion inspected Xi and Wuhing with admiration. However, even if it was the Heaven Sword Pavilion's invitation, Xi and Wuhing still rejected it without any hesitation. Brother Zhao. After Xi and Wuhing stood still, he greeted the purple-haired demonic duo with a complicated expression on his face. More accurately speaking, the person he greeted was the purple-haired youth. After all, they came from the same hometown and were once rivals. The forces present all looked over. Who was this purple-haired youth? Even Xi and Wuhing knew him, and even greeted him. Furthermore, Xi and Wuhing had a complicated and cautious expression on his face. Could it be that Zhao Feng of the purple-haired demonic duo is someone of the same level as Xi and Wuhing? The elites of the Jiang family, the Ji family, the Chao family, and the other forces guessed. He's indeed more mysterious and powerful than expected. Jilan, who had suffered the backlash from the god's spiritual eye, had fear on her face. No matter what. The mysteriousness of the purple-haired demonic duo entered everyone's hearts. Even the 13th Prince couldn't help but think, looks like the purple-haired demonic duo is stronger than expected. No wonder my two royal brothers aren't very active. Whoosh! 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 Right at this moment, another group of elites arrived near the dragon-shaped cave. At the front of the group was a gorgeous, refined, and peerless woman in a violet dress, and she instantly drew the gazes of everyone. It's the Duanmu family! Zhao Yufei! A disciple of the Duanmu family with another surname. The grand elder of the family took her in as the adopted daughter. Apparently, she has the bloodline of the spiritual race. Some of the people present were discussing among themselves. This was the first time most people had seen this female. Zhao Yufei, the bloodline of the spiritual race. Master said that she'll be a strong opponent in the future. Her powerful bloodline is destined to soar through the 9 heavens. Xian Yuan inspected someone seriously for the first time. The woman in his field of vision was peerlessly beautiful and pure. Her snow-white skin was suffused with a faint luster of jade, and she was like a lifelike, noble, and extraordinary ice jade fairy. Even Xian Yuan, who was used to seeing all kinds of beauties and 4-star sects, was stunned. Sister Yufei! The 13th Prince's eyes lit up. He revealed a joyful expression and was the first to greet her. Some of the forces present knew about the rumors between Zhao Yufei and the 13th Prince. In the future, it was very likely that these two would become a couple. This wasn't just the Sacred Emperor's intention. There was also an invisible force pushing them together. Even though the third prince tried his best to control himself, he couldn't hide the shock and admiration in his eyes as he looked at the goddess of his dreams that came closer and closer. In the depths of his heart, he had already treated this beautiful and perfect female as his fiancée. However, an unimaginable scene appeared. The elegant and beautiful female in purple didn't seem to see the 13th prince at all. Her clear eyes were locked onto someone. What's going on? The elites and geniuses of the Duanmu family, the Imperials, and other forces felt that something was wrong. Zhao Yufei was staring at the purple-haired demonic duo. It's the purple-haired demonic duo again. Could it be that the purple-haired demonic duo offended Zhao Yufei as well? Many of the experts present were tongue-tied. Yufei, don't worry. I will definitely help you punish these two scoundrels. The 13th prince had a confident and bright smile. In order to win the heart of the goddess of his dreams, he would kill the purple-haired demonic duo no matter what price he had to pay. If he really wanted to take action, the 8th prince and the 9th prince wouldn't just stand by and watch. Immediately, the 13th prince gathered his forces and prepared to surround the purple-haired demonic duo. Stop! This shout interrupted the 13th prince's intentions, and it contained the might of a powerful spiritual race bloodline. In a split second, the origin chi in this part of the world swept up like a raging storm. The bloodlines and true yuan of the experts present started to tremble. Sister Yufei, you... The 13th prince was slightly dazed. He didn't understand why the goddess he was trying so hard to please would suddenly become angry. At this moment in time, a layer of mist appeared in Zhao Yufei's eyes as she stared at the purple-haired youth of the purple-haired demonic duo, and flew away like a wisp of purple smoke. Yufei! The green-robed elder and company from the Duanmu family didn't know what to do. This was the first time they had seen such strong emotions on the face of this prodigy. Brother Feng, is that you? Tears welled up in Zhao Yufei's eyes. There was nothing else in her mind except for that strange purple-haired youth. That familiar purple hair and familiar eyes made her even more certain. What's going on? The 8th prince, the 9th prince, Luo Zun, and company from the Imperials were dazed. The emotions on Zhao Yufei's face obviously meant something. She probably had a very close relationship with this Zhao Feng. Both of their surnames are Zhao. Could it be? The 8th prince and Luo Zun looked at each other. A guess appeared in everyone's mind. Everyone was guessing the relationship between these two, and they were basically certain that they were brother and sister. Yufei, it's me. Zhao Feng's voice was slightly deep. He felt complicated when he saw this girl who was his childhood sweetheart again, and he didn't know how to face her. When he was young, he was emotionless. At first, he had a good impression of Zhao Yufei, and then he took care of her like a brother and sister. However, the tide of emotions washed away his naivety. As time passed, it was like a bottle of aged wine that gave off a mellow fragrance that made people unable to resist it. There was no unforgettable promise or promise. There was only the corrosion of time. Brother Feng, why don't you tell me who you are? A purple smoke-like figure jumped into Zhao Feng's arms. Maybe Zhao Yufei recognized Zhao Feng in terms of soul intent and forgot that this body wasn't the original Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's hand felt a bit wet, but he didn't know what to say as he hugged the beauty in his arms. Yufei! The 13th prince's heart shook, and half of it went cold. He felt that Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei didn't seem like siblings. The great gone Imperials, the geniuses of the super families, and the super sects were all stunned. Those from the Duanmu family were also stunned. This prodigy with an unparalleled noble bloodline had jumped into the arms of one of the infamous purple-haired demonic duo. Chapter 832. This scene made the eyes of the geniuses and elites of the Great Gone Lord dynasty drop, and they seemed to choke. The perfect and noble goddess in the hearts of the young geniuses had jumped into the arms of this wicked and mysterious youth with tears in her eyes. How is this possible? This bastard! Jiang Chun from the Jiang family, and the other geniuses that had a feud with Zhao Feng were speechless. The expressions of the 8th prince and Luo Zun from the Imperials were very colorful, and they felt extremely frustrated. A sense of defeat rose in the hearts of the two once again. The 8th prince had once liked Luo Zun's sister, Luo Shuier, but she was engaged to Zhao Feng, and they were friends. For Luo Zun, Zhao Yufei was a rare girl that he liked, but her identity and bloodline were too noble, and he wasn't good enough for her. The most speechless person was the 13th prince. So that's how it is. Yufei chased after the purple-haired demonic duo to find that brat. The 13th prince's expression was extremely ugly and dark. His eyes flickered with a vicious, murderous intent. Your Highness, please calm down. The wrinkled elder had appeared behind the 13th prince out of nowhere, and gently patted him on the shoulder. The 13th prince took a deep breath and calmed down his chaotic and crazy heart. This Zhao Feng is definitely not a simple person. Even now, this old man still can't see through him. The best way to deal with him is to leave the divine illusion dimension or find a suitable opportunity in the ancient mysterious palace. The wrinkled elder messaged. If Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei were in love with each other, then the 13th prince wouldn't be able to do anything. The 8 great aristocratic families were very close to the imperial family, and they were inextricably linked. Zhao Yufei, who had the bloodline of the spiritual race, couldn't be forced either. With her talent, even 3-star and 4-star forces would fight to take her as a disciple. For example, the 4-star Sky Suspension Palace didn't need to care about the Imperials. Brother Feng, why don't you tell me who you are? Zhao Yufei's voice sounded. At this moment, the tears in her eyes evaporated. She was calm and unruffled as she sized up this brand new, incomparably handsome brother Zhao Feng. At first, she thought that Zhao Feng had changed his appearance, but after careful observation, she confirmed that was not the case. Faced with Zhao Yufei's question again, Zhao Feng could not ignore it. There were many reasons why he hadn't taken the initiative to acknowledge Zhao Yufei before this, and they were also slightly complicated. Firstly, Zhao Feng's cultivation, strength, and appearance were all completely new. From a material perspective, the Zhao Feng of the past no longer existed. Second, his fiancée Lu Qingqing's new life. The scene in the Fanluan Ancient Sound Palace was still fresh in his mind. Lu Qingqing had envisioned Zhao Feng's arrival and had even left behind an ancient bronze coin to help Zhao Feng nurture the great monarch will in advance. Feng, since you're here, Qingqing can die without regrets. It's the fortune of my life. Feng, my death is for me to break through the shackles of fate. Since you've found this place, it means that our karma hasn't ended yet. Zhao Feng instinctively felt that the new Lu Qingqing might be waiting for him in a corner. Zhao Feng, if fate still exists, you will eventually see Qingqing again. However, if you really want to know where she is, you'll need to find the eyes of Samsara. The sage's voice replayed in Zhao Feng's mind. Zhao Feng knew that the love in Zhao Yufei's heart couldn't tolerate a single grain of sand. If she knew that Lu Qingqing had obtained a new life and that her fiancé was still alive, who knew what she would think? The third reason, at that time, it wasn't suitable for Zhao Feng to reunite with Zhao Yufei. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing were bandits that robbed everywhere, so they had many enemies. Zhao Feng didn't want to drag Zhao Yufei and the Duanmu family into this, including now. Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei still stood on different sides from the Duanmu family. With a thought, Zhao Feng told the first and third reasons to Zhao Yufei, especially the third reason. Yufei, it's not suitable for me to join the Duanmu family right now, Zhao Feng said in a solemn tone. Zhao Yufei also understood the reason. After all, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing were bandits that had robbed many forces. Some of the forces that had been robbed were even allies of the Duanmu family. At the end, Zhao Feng asked about Duanmu Qing's situation. Senior Marshal Brother Duanmu tried to break through to the Mystic Light Realm 2 years ago and failed. If he can't break through within 100 years, his lifespan will reach its limit, and his soul and life force will start to weaken. Zhao Yufei had a serious expression as she clenched her fists, as if she had made up her mind. Zhao Feng knew that normal emperors had 10,000 years of lifespan. Duanmu Qing was a wood elemental emperor, so his lifespan was slightly longer, but he was reaching his limit. In another 100 years, Duanmu Qing would be like the little sword saint of Sky Sword Pavilion, Whitebeard. In the end, he would be like the old priest in the underground city. A resource that can help one break through to the mystic light realm is rare even in the divine illusion dimension. Zhao Feng sighed. Regarding this matter, he decided to do his part. Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei talked for a while before the latter left due to the call of the Duanwu family. Yufei, are you okay? The elder in green let out a breath. He was afraid that Zhao Yufei would be kidnapped by the purple-haired demonic duo. Luckily, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei both understood their current situation. This was especially so for Zhao Feng. His plan of plundering meant that he would stand on the opposite side of most of the forces present. It wasn't just a problem of his plan. Any force or individual that wanted to get more benefits would cause the anger of the other forces, and they would work together to reject them. Senior Marshal Brother Xian Yuan! Right at this moment, a ghost-like figure jumped out of the dragon-shaped hole. His body was slightly charred, and he landed on the side of Sky Suspension Palace. What's the situation? The elites of Sky Suspension Palace revealed expectant expressions as they looked at the disciple responsible for scouting. Shua! Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge from Sky Suspension Palace gently waved his fan, and an invisible barrier of light blocked off this area. Not long after. Whoosh! A member of the princes jumped out of the dragon-shaped hole and reported the situation to the other 3 Imperials. Found it? The 8th Prince and company revealed joyful expressions. We've confirmed that the entrance to the ancient mysterious palace is below, but the remaining aura of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon is extremely strong. The member of the princes explained some details. Of course. Both Sky Suspension Palace and the Imperials were isolated from the outside world. However, it wasn't hard for Zhao Feng to see that the search for the ancient mysterious palace had made a breakthrough through his expression. Whoosh! 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 The group of 20 or so elites from Sky Suspension Palace had already charged into the dragon-shaped hole. Quick! The Imperial's elites weren't slow either, and they were the second to enter the dragon-shaped hole. The third was Sky Sword Pavilion, and the fourth was 9 Darkness Palace. The nearby forces all rushed over. Of course, due to the restrictions of the Divine Illusion Dimension, not all the peak forces of the Great Gone Lord dynasty had gathered in this area. The Divine Illusion Dimension was extremely big, and there were many other fortuitous encounters. Maybe it was because of their strength, or because they were wary of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, but they gave up on this great fortune. Let's go! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing were covered by a layer of silver and purple light as they quickly entered the dragon-shaped hole. They weren't at the very front, but they weren't too far behind either. The dragon-shaped hole was extremely big. It was obvious that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had drilled into the ground and left behind a tunnel. Zhao Feng could feel the powerful aura left behind by the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon as they moved forward. Normal Origin Core realms wouldn't even be able to get close to this aura, let alone explore it. Whoosh! Under the effect of gravity, the geniuses and elites floated toward the depths of the dragon-shaped cave. The cave was slightly twisted, and they would occasionally step on the walls. There was still a powerful scorching aura left on the walls. A while later, tsing! Tsum! The figures landed at the bottom of the dragon-shaped cave. The bottom of the cave was scorched black, and there were even wisps of dragon aura left behind. Everyone present felt a burning sensation that they couldn't breathe. Look! Someone exclaimed in a low voice. A pool of lava had appeared in the pitch-black underground, and everything nearby was scorched black. There was a stone tablet next to the pool of lava. There were a few ancient words carved on the stone tablet. Xiayang Palace. Xiayang Palace! Ancient god Xiayang? The expressions of the forces present were filled with joy, but their eyebrows furrowed. However, everyone's eyebrows were slightly furrowed. If the words, Xiayang Palace, were written, then where was the entrance to the palace? This pool of lava is the entrance. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, who was wearing white silk, held an ancient fan and walked into the pool of lava from Sky Suspension Palace. Pool of lava! Everyone was shocked. Looking at the lava in the pool, they saw red lava surging endlessly. The scorching aura made even Void God Realm Kings feel uneasy. Furthermore, Void God Realm Kings were the leaders of these elite groups, so there weren't many of them. Boom! Right at this moment, a faint spatial tremor came from the depths of the pool of lava. Some of the experts with strong senses felt the roar of a dragon next to their ears, making their hearts jump. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge smiled. A layer of mysterious fire tadpole appeared on his body. With a pop sound, he jumped into the boiling red magma pool. When the crimson lava emitted a layer of raging red crystal flame, which engulfed Senior Brother Zhuge and disappeared without a trace. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge! The disciples of Sky Suspension Palace couldn't help but exclaim with worried expressions. A few breaths later, whoosh! A layer of fire pattern light shadow flew out. When the fire light disappeared, it was Senior Brother Zhuge. Fire Elemental Experts, activate your fire elemental defenses and enter together. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge smiled and said, whoosh! 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 The team from Sky Suspension Palace formed a formation and jumped into the lava pool in a flash of dazzling flames. Behind them were the members of the Imperials. It's just the entrance to a barrier. Zhao Feng scanned the area with his left eye and jumped into the pool of lava without even activating his defenses. After entering the magma pool, the blazing scarlet flame aura quickly dissipated. A layer of light like the setting sun shone into everyone's field of vision. Everyone passed through the layer of light and entered an ancient dimension filled with yuan qi. However, the place they were in was scorched black, and they could faintly see a palace in the distance. Space faintly trembled as a dragon might that seemed to be able to destroy heaven and earth appeared. So, this Xieyang Palace is a world within a world, and it has its own secret dimension. Chapter 833. The Divine Illusion Dimension was a tattered world left behind by an ancient god. It floated around and overlapped with the continent zone once every 100 years. The dimension that the elites were in right now was a world within a world that was based on the Divine Illusion Dimension. At this moment, they were in the outskirts of an ancient secret realm. Behind them was a layer of light that seemed to be flowing like lava. The heaven-earth yuan qi within the secret realm was much thicker than the outside world. Boom! Light flashed in the depths of the secret realm, and space itself started to tremble. The destructive dragon aura was stronger than ever before. A purple jewel-like palace could be faintly seen in the distance. It was covered in a layer of misty blood-colored sunlight, and its surface gave off a dark glow. This palace gave off an indescribable hazy feeling, and it gave off a wicked aura. Zhao Feng felt that this aura was similar to the evil god Crystal. That palace in the distance should be Xieyang Palace. The eighth prince looked into the distance. Everyone's gazes were locked onto the dreamlike palace in the distance. Woo boom! Boom! The sound of collisions came from the depths of Xieyang Palace, and the roar of an enraged dragon became clearer and clearer. Outside of Xieyang Palace, the layer of mist that looked like a bloody sun would shatter and quickly recover. Zhao Feng's left eye could faintly see the shadow of a black-scaled dragon. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, and every attack seemed to be able to shatter heaven and earth. A faint black gust of wind destroyed everything nearby. The outskirts of Xieyang Palace were scorched black and filled with holes. Even the bewildering mist-forbidden formation outside the mansion had many holes and flaws under the black serpent dragon's relentless attacks. One whoosh! 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 The misty array released a wave of purple and blood-colored light that sliced through everything in heaven and earth. Each of the purple and blood-colored lines created by the forbidden array could instantly kill a king or severely injure an emperor. However, the black destruction serpent dragon's body was monstrously strong, and it was able to block the tens of thousands of purple and blood-colored light beams without taking any actual damage. So, this is the power of the 9th-ranked bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races. Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat. The black destruction serpent dragon was worthy of being the strongest being he had ever encountered. Outside the secret realm, The elite teams of the Great Qian dynasty shuddered in fear when they felt the waves of destructive dragon might surging towards them. The forces split up and carefully approached Xianyang Palace. Xianyang Palace was pretty big. The elite teams all tried their best to get as far away from the Black Serpent Dragon as possible. Everyone agreed on this point. After all, no one wanted to attract the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's attention and hostility. Not long after, the group of elites approached the other side of Xianyang Palace. The forbidden array outside the palace made their hearts beat faster. The forbidden array around Xianyang Palace is so powerful that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon hasn't been able to break it even after attacking it for so long? The pink-robed female from Sky Suspension Palace was surprised. Everyone could sense just how strong the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's attacks were from its aura alone. The destructive power of every strike of the Black Flood Dragon could destroy a 2-star sect. None of the geniuses and elites present were confident that they could block a single attack from the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon is invincible to us. Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. He had to admit this point. His left eye could see even more clearly, so he came to this conclusion after some analysis. He. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge from Sky Suspension Palace gave a faint smile. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's goal is to destroy the entire Forbidden Array. Of course it'll be difficult. Everyone nodded their heads in agreement. The array around Xianyang Palace was, after all, a god's forbidden array, and it had a strong self-repairing ability. Even after so many years, a lot of the array's power had been used up, and there were still some flaws. Ha! We have to thank the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon for opening a path for us. It's furiously attacking the array and creating even more flaws. Zhizhe, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's destructive power is strong, but it won't be able to enter the palace through the flaws in the array. Some geniuses couldn't help but laugh with a smug and mocking expression. From when they first chased after the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon to when it opened a path and destroyed the array, it gave the humans an opportunity. It was as if everything the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon did was to serve the humans. At this moment in time, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's relentless attacks caused some flaws and cracks to appear in the god's forbidden array around Xianyang Palace. There were many array masters present, and they were able to see through many flaws in the array. Find a stable flaw and try to enter. The groups of the various forces were all looking for a big enough flaw to enter Xianyang Palace. However, every time a crack appeared, the god's forbidden formation would swiftly repair it. The time it took was very short. Most formations have flaws and loopholes that will exist for a period of time. However, this is a god's forbidden formation. Trying to use a simple loophole to break through is extremely difficult and dangerous. Xian Wuheng murmured. If it was a normal Pictor array, they would be able to enter through just the flaws. Even if there was some backlash, they would be able to take it head-on. However, the god's forbidden array wasn't normal. Just the slightest backlash could kill a void god realm king. Only by entering through the cracks in the god's forbidden array will there be no backlash. This is the safest method, an array master said. However, the cracks in the god's forbidden array were created by the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's attacks, and the god's forbidden array had a strong self-repairing ability. Every crack that appeared would instantly repair itself. Therefore, the appearance of a crack in the god's forbidden array wasn't something that could be controlled. Wait for the crack to appear and grasp that instant. The elites of the various forces waited in the areas where the cracks appeared more frequently. Some areas had bigger flaws, so the chances of a crack appearing were higher. Of course, they couldn't get too close to the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon in case they were discovered. This suitable area was first taken by the Sky Suspension Palace and the Great Gon Imperials, who were stronger. Although the other forces were unhappy, they didn't object. It's just a matter of time. The elites of some forces didn't put it to heart. Zhao Feng, Nan Gongxing, and Xian Wuheng, who weren't part of a force, were placed at the back. Shua! A genius from Sky Suspension Palace suddenly entered the crack in the god's forbidden array after it appeared. However, the crack only appeared for an instant before quickly healing. Only one person entered. Only one person could enter the crack every time it appeared. Schwa! Schwa! The members of Sky Suspension Palace and the Imperials would occasionally enter the cracks in the god's forbidden array. Many teams were watching with rapt attention. However, the crack in the god's forbidden array didn't appear even after half of the people from Sky Suspension Palace and the Imperials had entered. What's going on? The crack still hasn't appeared? The teams of the various forces present began to whisper to each other. At this point in time, Xianyuan from Sky Suspension Palace and the 9th Prince of the Imperials had already led their own groups into Xianyang Palace. These people were waiting within the palace to meet up with the others. However, the crack in the god's forbidden array didn't appear even after a while. On the other side, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's attacks seemed to have stopped. Something's wrong. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge's eyebrows furrowed as he started to think. At a certain moment, he instinctively looked in the direction of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, but his expression changed dramatically when he didn't see it. Woo! All of a sudden, a majestic dragon roar could be heard from above the crowd, followed by a destructive aura that covered the sky and earth. Arg! The forces present were covered by a giant black shadow. When they looked up, they all exclaimed as cold sweat drenched their backs. Black Destruction Serpent Dragon! A black serpent dragon that was 1 to 500 yards long appeared above everyone's heads. Black chains as thick as buckets were wrapped around its body, and its eyes were as big as houses. They were cold and dark, and they contained a hint of playfulness as they looked down at the group of ants. At this moment, everyone yelled as their hearts jumped into their throats. No one expected the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon to conceal its aura and fly into the sky, landing above everyone's heads. Whoosh! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon gave off a roar that shook heaven and earth, and an invisible gust of wind and draconic pressure descended. Plop! Plop! Some geniuses and elites were unable to withstand the pressure and instantly knelt on the ground. Wah! Wah! Many people immediately spat out blood. Those below the Void God realm couldn't even fight back against the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's draconic pressure. Black Destruction Serpent Dragon! Zhao Feng's heart dropped, and his bloodline instinctively trembled. His thoughts spun as he thought of countless ways to escape, but he found that the success rate was extremely low. Who as the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon roared, a faint black whirlwind covered everything within 10 miles. Sky Suspension Palace, the Great Gone Imperials, Sky Sword Pavilion, 9 Darkness Palace, all the groups from the forces were caught in the whirlwind. Arg! One of the groups that tried to escape, a Void God Realm King and 3 or 4 half-step kings, was instantly turned into dust by the whirlwind. Boom! A huge dragon claw slammed down from the sky, crushing the remaining members of the small team into minced meat. A huge scorched pit with a diameter of 100 zhang was left where they stood. SI! The groups present all took in cold breaths. The Black Serpent Dragon had annihilated a team of 3-star sects in a single move. Stupid humans! How dare you follow the Great Destruction race and try to use me for Xianyang Palace's benefits? A cold voice that seemed to look down on the heavens descended from the sky. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's giant body spun in the air as a terrifying whirlwind surrounded all the groups below with a cruel expression. The elites of the various forces, who had fallen into a desperate situation, fell into despair. Arg! Let's go! An extremely small number of elites burned their true yuan and unleashed their secret techniques in an insane attempt to escape. Boom! A giant dragon claw descended from the sky and sealed the air, quickly killing the geniuses and elites that tried to escape. Sacred Emperor Pendant! The 9th Prince tried to pull out the Sacred Emperor's sword in despair, but he was stopped by the wrinkled elder next to him. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge! Xianyuan, who had already entered Xianyang Palace, exclaimed as he looked at the nightmarish scene outside, but he couldn't do anything to stop it. Everyone outside the palace stood next to the abyss of despair. The number of people that could remain calm in this situation of death could be counted on one hand. So what if I die? The white beard from Sky Sword Pavilion gave a sorrowful smile, but he wasn't afraid. On the contrary, he seemed to be unafraid of death. Apart from that, Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, Xian Wuheng, Zhao Feng, and company maintained their calm in front of the abyss of despair. Their thoughts spun as they analyzed the situation and tried to find a way out. Chapter 834. The terrifying aura of the destruction dragons might suppress the air in front of Xianyang Palace, and a faint black tornado trapped all the elite groups present. In the air, the black destruction serpent dragon that was 400 to 500 yards long spun above everyone's head and gave off a soul-piercing dragon roar. The battlefield was deathly silent. Cold sweat appeared on the foreheads of the geniuses and elites as endless fear and despair appeared on their faces. Most of them knelt on the ground and trembled under the aura of the destruction dragon. They didn't even have the ability to fight back. Zhao Feng. Nan Gongxing's heart went numb as he looked at Zhao Feng in the abyss of despair. Even at this moment, Zhao Feng didn't panic. His eyes were calm. They had seen the black destruction serpent dragon appear, so they knew how terrifying its strength was. So, the black destruction serpent dragon already sensed that there were people following it, but in its eyes, the humans that entered the divine illusion dimension were just ants that could be ignored. Zhao Feng was the first to understand the reason. The humans that entered from the outside world had completely underestimated the black destruction serpent dragon's intelligence, and thought that it was a pure destroyer. Some of the geniuses present couldn't help but reveal regretful expressions. This was especially true for the arrogant geniuses that had mocked the black destruction serpent dragon. Brother Feng, are we going to die? Zhao Yufei from the Duanmu family revealed a look of despair as she looked at Zhao Feng. If they were going to die, she was willing to die with the person she loved. The black destruction serpent dragon is an invincible existence to us, and its speed surpasses everyone else. Zhao Feng's expression was still calm. Fighting back or running away would only result in death. The opponent this time was unbeatable. Even a peak emperor wouldn't be able to block one breath from the black destruction serpent dragon. The wolf emperor, who had died earlier, was an example. Soon, Zhao Feng felt that something was wrong. If the black destruction serpent dragon had invincible power and superhuman intelligence, why hadn't it attacked yet? In the eyes of the black destruction serpent dragon, the humans below were just ants. A sneeze from it could instantly kill a group of people. If it really wanted to kill them, they would have already been annihilated. Then, there is only one answer. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed as he heaved a sigh of relief. In a short period of time, Zhao Feng didn't need to worry about his own safety, and he cast a reassuring look at Zhao Yufei and Nan Gongxing. Under Zhao Feng's gaze, the fear and despair in Zhao Yufei and Nan Gongxing's hearts dissipated a little. Lord Black Serpent Dragon, may I ask, what other value do we have? Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge of the Sky Suspension Palace took a deep breath and looked at the gigantic black-scaled dragon in the sky. At this point, a few people also understood. Why didn't the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon immediately kill them and instead intimidate those who were trying to run? There was only one answer, and that was that the Black Serpent Dragon still had some value in its eyes. Very good, I need a smart person like you. In the air, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon revealed a proud smile as a sliver of admiration appeared in its eyes. When it said that, everyone below expressed their willingness to work for it. Humans! As you can see, my body is huge, and I'm restricted by the Yuan ceiling divine chains, so it's hard for me to enter Xianyang God Palace. The Black Serpent Dragon's cold eyes scanned across everyone. You mean? Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge said respectfully. On the other side, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing revealed thoughtful expressions. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body was too big. Under normal circumstances, it could use a secret technique to shrink its body and even turn into a human. However, the existence of the yuan-sealing divine chains restricted its movements. I will help you enter Xia Yang Palace safely. However, you humans will need to help me find the key to the yuan-sealing divine chains or destroy the core of Xia Yang Palace's array. The Black Serpent Dragon's deep voice resounded across the battlefield. The geniuses and elites present were pleasantly surprised by the sudden turn of events. As expected, the Black Serpent Dragon needed them to do something. With the Black Serpent Dragon's help, it'll be much easier to enter Xia Yang Palace and obtain the treasures inside. Some of the older elites revealed joyful expressions. It was very likely that the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon knew a bit about Xia Yang Palace. This meant that the geniuses present would receive a lot of help. You have 1 month to complete the mission. Otherwise, I'll be able to enter Xia Yang Palace in 1 month. At that time, I'll kill all of you. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's voice became cold, and the bone-chilling killing intent made everyone's hearts shake and their feet go cold. Lord Black Serpent Dragon, don't worry. We will do our best to complete the mission. The geniuses and elites below all nodded their heads. Everyone present couldn't help but let out a long breath. No matter what, they had 1 month of time. There might be some changes in a month's time. I will leave the mark of world annihilation on all of you. The Black Serpent Dragon gave a cunning smile. Mark of destruction? Everyone's hearts shook. They could tell that it wasn't anything good. Go! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon waved its claws, and nearly 200 streaks of scarlet-black light shot toward all the geniuses and elites present. No one dared to dodge. Whoosh! 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 The scarlet-black lights merged into everyone's bodies. Whoosh! One of the scarlet-black lights merged into Zhao Feng's body. Zhao Feng sensed it quietly and felt a unique aura of destruction spread through his body and into his soul. This is the unique bloodline mark of the destruction race. Even though it's a simplified version, anyone below the demigod realm won't be able to get rid of it. It can remain in the target's body for 100 years. The Black Serpent Dragon seemed to be confident. 100 years. Everyone's hearts shook. Didn't that mean that if they didn't complete the mission, they would be chased by the Black Serpent Dragon for 100 years? Furthermore, the Black Serpent Dragon's mark was extremely unique. It was a bloodline ability. This aura is very unique. It contains the origin intent of destruction and is very difficult to destroy. Zhao Feng sensed it. With this mark, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon could sense it even if they were far away. This meant that even if they had the ability to sneak out of Xia Yang Palace, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would be able to sense them and kill them. The hearts of everyone present dropped. When the world annihilation mark was completely assimilated into their bodies, tiny black lines appeared on their bodies and faces. Among them, Zhao Yufei revealed a pained expression. The spiritual race bloodline within her started to clash with the power of the Black Serpent Dragon's bloodline. Spiritual race bloodline? The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon revealed a weird expression as it waved its claws, and a few bolts of scarlet-black lightning entered Zhao Yufei's body. Instantly, the mark of destruction within Zhao Yufei's body became several times stronger, and even the spiritual race bloodline couldn't do anything about it. Very good. The talent and potential of all of you has exceeded my expectations. I hope that you can complete the mission as soon as possible. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon gave an indifferent smile. The more intelligent and powerful these humans were, the higher their chances of completing the mission would be. Begin! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's enormous body slammed into the god's forbidden array outside of Xia Yang Palace. Whoosh! 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 Hundreds and thousands of purple and blood-colored threads of light instantly appeared on the god's forbidden array and stabbed into the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's body. Each of these purple and blood-colored threads of light could kill a king or severely injure an emperor. However, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon was able to resist this power head-on, and even used its claws to rip open a crack that was dozens of yards long and half a yard wide. Hurry up and go in! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's cold voice resounded across the battlefield. Everyone finally understood and recovered from the shock of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's strength. Whoosh! 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 The elites present all flew into the crack. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon could maintain a stable crack so that everyone could easily enter. In comparison, the risk was much lower. If it was a small crack like the one before, it would disappear in an instant. If the timing was wrong, the god's forbidden formation would devour him. Soon after, the elites of the Great Gone Lord dynasty passed through the god's forbidden array and entered Xieyang Palace. After entering Xieyang Palace, everyone could still feel the terrifying aura of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon, and their bodies and bloodlines were all suppressed. This is a rough map of Xieyang Palace. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon slashed through the air with its other claw. A black outline of Xieyang Palace soon appeared above everyone's heads. However, this map was only a rough outline from the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's memories, so it was very simple. Everyone present was either a half-step king or a king, so they could easily remember it. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, are you okay? Xian Yuanwen let out a long breath within the palace and met up with those from Sky Suspension Palace. Of everyone present, only Xian Yuanwen and the Ninth Prince didn't have a mark of destruction on them. However, as long as the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon stood guard outside Xieyang Palace, it didn't make much of a difference. After traveling for a while, everyone! Are we really going to help the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon find the key to the Yuan Sealing Divine Lock? Even if we complete the mission, will the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon let us go? The leaders of the groups gathered together and started to discuss. At the same time, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon coiled in the air outside Xieyang Palace revealed a mocking smile. Right at this moment. At this distance, the Black Serpent Dragon will be able to sense our conversation, Meng Qi said. An emotionless voice sounded from the crowd. Hearing this, everyone's gazes landed on a purple-haired youth. This youth was Zhao Feng, one of the purple-haired demonic duo. What? The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon outside Xieyang Palace couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. However, at this moment, it couldn't see what was happening inside Xieyang Palace, so it didn't know who this voice came from. Therefore, any of our conversations and plans will become an open conspiracy, including the communication of various forms such as divine sense. The emotionless voice sounded once more. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's expression changed. The owner of that voice definitely wasn't simple. I've made a mistake. Among these people, there's still one, or even more, hidden characters. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon murmured. Within Xieyang Palace. He's right. Xian Woheng and Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge closed their eyes and sensed for a while before nodding their heads. Everyone was stunned after knowing this. Didn't that mean that any discussion or plan would be sensed by the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon? No wonder Zhao Feng said that any plan would become an open plan. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would sense everything they did. How would they break through this battle of life and death? Zhao Feng, do you have a way to dissolve this mark of destruction? Nan Gongshin couldn't help but ask after seeing how calm Zhao Feng was. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon also sensed his message and started to eavesdrop. Chapter 835. Zhao Feng, do you have a way to dissolve this mark of destruction? Nan Gongshin's divine sense message didn't escape the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's senses. Zhao Feng's existence had already attracted the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's attention. He definitely wasn't a simple person to be able to see through the mark of destruction so quickly. Right now, it's not important whether or not I can dissolve this mark of destruction. Zhao Feng shook his head and didn't reply. Nan Gongshin couldn't help but sigh. Indeed, even if they could dissolve the mark of destruction, there wasn't much meaning to it. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would definitely keep a close eye on Xieyang Palace. The most important thing was the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's invincible threat. The mark of destruction was just a threat to them. If I use the power of the God Tribulation, I might be able to dissolve the mark of destruction. Zhao Feng weighed the pros and cons. Comparatively speaking, this simplified mark of world annihilation was easier to deal with than the cursed words of death from back then. After all, the price of the cursed words of death was too high. There was also another reason. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon was extremely weak right now, and its strength might not even be 1% of its peak. Adding on the Yuan Sealing Divine Chains, many of its techniques were restricted. However, Zhao Feng didn't plan on dissolving the Mark of Destruction so quickly in case the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon became too wary. Outside Xianyang Palace. Interesting, the talent, bloodline, and techniques of these people are all extraordinary. There's even a spiritual race bloodline and peak void god realm intent. The playful expression on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's face became even stronger. The strongest of these humans were only comparable to martial monarchs. How big of a wave could they cause? Even Void God Realm Emperors were just slightly bigger ants in the eyes of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. On an empty plot of land within Xianyang Palace, the geniuses of the various forces gathered together. Brother Xian Yuan and I aren't affected by the Mark of Destruction. In terms of strategy, why don't the two of us first weigh the pros and cons? The ninth prince suggested. Hearing that, everyone else nodded their heads and didn't speak or send messages. The moment he spoke or transmitted his voice, it would be easily sensed by the world annihilation mark that had fused into his body. Those from Sky Suspension Palace and the Great Gone Imperials felt lucky that their strongest genius had entered Xianyang Palace early and hadn't been struck by the Mark of Destruction. Not long after, the ninth prince, Xian Yuanwen, and company came up with a plan, and everyone nodded in agreement. Our plan can have two backup plans. The ninth prince paused for a moment. The so-called two-pronged preparation was to find the key to the primordial spirit forbidding lock, and at the same time, think of a way to deal with the Black Serpent Dragon and escape its control. If we obtain the key to the primordial sealing divine lock, we might be able to use it to threaten the Black Serpent Dragon. The ninth prince faintly smiled and lowered his voice. Everyone's eyes lit up. Zhao Feng also secretly nodded in agreement. After deciding on the basic strategy, the forces started to spread out and search for fortune within Xianyang Palace as well as the key to the Yuan Sealing Divine Lock. Swoosh! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing charged toward the depths of Xianyang Palace under a layer of silver and purple light. Increasing our strength is the most important thing. Xianyang Palace is a mysterious ancient palace, and the fortune here should be much better than the outside world. Expectation appeared in Zhao Feng's eyes. Most of the buildings within Xianyang Palace were protected by the God's Forbidden Array, but they weren't as dangerous and hostile as the God's Forbidden Array outside. Every brick and tile here would automatically repair itself after being damaged by the God's Forbidden Array. Furthermore, the materials of an ancient god's palace surpassed common sense, and normal attacks wouldn't be able to damage it. Shwa! At a certain moment, the silver and purple light stopped in front of an orchard. What powerful heaven-earth yuan qi! It's far stronger than some of the treasures in the world. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing revealed surprised expressions. The powerful heaven-earth yuan qi was coming from the orchard nearby. They looked closely. There were spiritual fruits growing on the trees in the orchard, and they gave off a faint yuan qi that suppressed one's yuan qi. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing couldn't help but get closer. It's not protected by the God's Forbidden Array? Surprise appeared on their faces as they inspected the orchard. The fruits in the orchard were all top-tier spiritual fruits in the outside world, and they could be used to refine pills or eat directly. What surprised them the most was that the orchard wasn't protected by the God's Forbidden Array. Meow meow! The little thieving cat suddenly jumped onto the tree, grabbed a fruit, and started to chew on it. Cloud pear. Toa dragon green lotus. Blood yang centipede. Zhao Feng recognized the origins of these fruits with the help of the large number of memories in his mind. Tsum. Tsum. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing also joined in the picking of the spiritual fruits. The entire process was extremely smooth, and there were no outside forces interfering. Perhaps these spirit fruits were only some of the ordinary fruits from the original mansion, Zhao Feng concluded as he picked them. According to the records, he found that these were all edible fruits from the ancient era, but they contained a lot of heaven-earth yuan qi due to the unique environment of Xianyang Palace. If a primal core realm cultivator consumed these fruits, they would have a strong nourishing effect on their body, allowing them to improve their cultivation. Even for a virtual god, eating a few to fill their stomachs would be beneficial. These fruits are almost extinct in the outside world. Nan Gongsheng was slightly excited. If these fruits could be taken back to the outside world, they would be priceless. Furthermore, there were quite a lot of spiritual fruits here. Whoosh! 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 Right at this moment, 2 or 3 groups quickly approached the orchard. So many spiritual fruits! There's no one guarding it or any arrays protecting it? The people from these groups were all shocked. Tsum! 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 Soon, the people from the 3 teams also joined in the harvest of spiritual fruits. There were at least a few thousand spiritual fruits, but no one fought over them. Purple-haired demonic duo! One of the groups was from 9 Darkness Palace. Jiu Wuji, who was wearing a black battle robe, squinted his eyes as he inspected Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing. However, everyone knew how hard the purple-haired demonic duo were to deal with. Even though the purple-haired demonic duo was just 2 people, the other 3-star forces didn't want to offend them. In just a short while, all the spiritual fruits in the orchard had been picked. What surprised everyone was that the 3 forces didn't fight during the process. There was only one reason. There were too many spiritual fruits here, and each group had picked several hundred to 1,000. Everyone had excited expressions. Although these spiritual fruits weren't peerless, it was still a joyous thing to be able to obtain such a harvest without any effort. Whoosh! 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 After picking the spiritual fruits, everyone headed toward the depths of Xianyang Palace. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing chewed on the fruits. They weren't willing to fall behind, and they were even ahead of the other groups. At this point in time, the advantage of the 2-man team was shown. Although some of the other groups had a lot of people, their normal members hadn't reached the Void God realm yet. On the other hand, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing's average strength far surpassed most geniuses and elites. They only traveled a dozen or so miles before stopping once more. Ding! Ding! Jiang! Jiang! In a bamboo forest ahead, there was a group chopping down bamboo, and the sound of metal clanging could be heard. These bamboos were crystal green, and some were 10 yards tall. They radiated a pure aura of spirituality. Sky Rime Bamboo! Zhao Feng recognized the bamboo with one glance and revealed a surprised expression. This Sky Rime Bamboo was an ancient precious bamboo used to craft wood elemental earth-grade weapons, and it could also be used to craft items that focused on the Tao of entertainment. In the outside world, this kind of bamboo was almost extinct, and it was hard to find. Ha! It's very rare to see this kind of Sky Rime Bamboo in the outside world. The quality of this bamboo can probably be used to craft high-grade earth-grade weapons. Hurry up and chop them down! We'll be rich once we leave the Divine Illusion dimension. This group came from a 3-star power. Whoosh! A silver and purple light flew over from afar and landed in the Sky Rime Bamboo forest. Kill! It would be a waste if we didn't chop down some Sky Rime Bamboo of this quality. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing also joined in the chopping of the bamboo. However, the Sky Rime Bamboo was extremely tough, and normal weapons wouldn't be able to damage it. Whoosh! Nan Gongxing had spatial talent, and an extremely thin silver and purple blade condensed in his hand. Every time he swung it, he would be able to chop down a Sky Rime Bamboo. Meow meow! The little thieving cat held a dagger that was as dark as a shadow, and it could easily chop down a bamboo. It was even more relaxed than Nan Gongxing. Zhao Feng didn't have any good skills or weapons, so he jumped onto a very tall bamboo and looked down at the situation nearby. He couldn't help but pause when he saw what was happening, and his expression became weird. With the help of his god's spiritual eye, The geniuses and elites that entered Xie Yang Palace hungrily started to plunder the plants within Xie Yang Palace. Everything within Xie Yang Palace was covered in gold. Even the most normal flowers, bricks, and tiles within Xie Yang Palace are rare treasures to outsiders. Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh. One had to say that the difference between gods and humans wasn't just big. According to what he knew and observed, some of the more important buildings would be protected by the gods' forbidden array. As for the things that everyone else could plunder, to the masters and servants of the mansion, they were all worthless and disdainful of even mentioning them. Simply put, the plants and flowers were the same as the air and soil to the people living in the palace. On a hill on the other side, a small group was furiously digging up the soil and ore. On the other side of the river, several elites of the older generation were extremely excited as they jumped into the river to fish or harvest plants. Zhao Feng's left eye quickly scanned over them, and his face twitched. These peerless geniuses and elites from the outside world were like a bunch of country bumpkins that had entered a super mansion that no one was looking after. Their eyes sparkled as they looted everything. Zhao Feng was one of them. Thinking up to there, even he couldn't help but feel slightly embarrassed. Foolish humans! No matter how much trash you take, if you can't complete the mission within a month, everyone will die. A cold and mocking voice sounded in everyone's ears. A cold and mocking voice sounded in everyone's ears. Everyone who had the mark of world annihilation on them heard this voice. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon didn't know whether to laugh or to be angry at the scene within Xie Yang Palace. These humans were attracted by some of the insignificant flowers, bricks, and tiles around Xie Yang Palace and kept plundering them. Chapter 836. Foolish humans! No matter how much scrap metal you loot, if you can't complete the task within a month, you will be punished. Everyone will die! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's voice caused the hearts of the geniuses and elites who were excitedly harvesting, cutting, and digging to turn cold. That voice was like a bucket of cold water drenched him from head to toe. Some of the geniuses and elites stopped what they were doing and felt a strong sense of danger. Not long ago. Only then did they manage to survive the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's might. And this survival period was 1 month. Scrap metal? Nan Gongxing's face twitched as he cut down the sky rime bamboo. The other prodigies and elites who were chopping down the bamboo also stiffened, and a sense of crisis arose in their hearts. Meow the little thieving cat unwillingly put away the Shadow Kill Imperial dagger and returned to Zhao Feng's shoulder. We can't waste time on the outskirts of Xie Yang Palace. Zhao Feng stood on a tall bamboo tree. He had a rough understanding of the situation within Xie Yang Palace through his observations just now. It wasn't hard to get some information from the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's words. There would be even greater fortune in the depths of Xie Yang Palace. No matter what. His own life was the most important. No matter how many resources and treasures he plundered, if he couldn't keep his life, then it would all be for naught. Let's go. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing headed toward the depths of Xie Yang Palace. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had given him a rough map of Xie Yang Palace before entering the palace. Although Xie Yang Palace sounded like a palace, it was an independent little world with many laws inside. Some of the important parts of the mansion were protected by the gods' forbidden formation. I'll first enter Xie Yang Palace. That way, I'll have a chance to find the key to the Yuan Sealing Divine Chains and the core of the gods' forbidden array. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed. When the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon threatened everyone and gave out the mission, Zhao Feng already had a plan in mind. If this plan succeeds, not only will we be able to ensure everyone's safety, we might even be able to launch a counterattack against the Black Serpent Dragon. Zhao Feng planned silently in his heart. Indeed, the Black Serpent Dragon was invincible compared to everyone else. However, Xie Yang Palace was a god palace. If they could make use of the terrain, they might have a chance to turn the situation around. Swoosh! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing flew toward the depths of Xie Yang Palace. Nan Gongxing didn't know that the purple-haired youth next to him already had a bold plan to counter the Black Serpent Dragon. After flying for dozens of miles, the two of them stopped again. In his field of vision, the path between the flower bed and the pavilion was embedded with pebbles that shone with a strange luster. Radiant agate! Zhao Feng recognized the material of the pebbles. This jade-light agate was a top-notch material for forging divine armaments. It could amplify the might of divine armaments, and was extremely rare in the outside world. Even some top-grade Earth-ranked divine armaments needed this dazzling agate. However, this material was used to pave a cobblestone road in Xianyang Palace. Go! Zhao Feng resisted the temptation and continued deeper with Nan Gongxing. On the way, they met many more temptations, and they almost couldn't resist the urge to steal or cut down trees. There's no rush. There's definitely more fortune in Xianyang Palace. Zhao Feng took a deep breath. After all, they were entering a god's palace, and the flowers, bricks, and tiles here were only the lowest tier. Zhao Feng believed that the true treasures were at the back. Whoosh! 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 At the same time, the group of elites was also heading toward the depths of Xianyang Palace. However, the laws within Xianyang Palace were extremely powerful. Even Void God Realm Kings could only fly through the air and not actually fly. Therefore, their actual speed wasn't very fast. Half a day later. A glowing pond appeared in Zhao Feng's vision. Green waves undulated in the pond, and there was a patch of white lotuses mixed with some lotus roots. A surge of pure spiritual yuan qi surged over before they even got close. Those white lotuses were obviously not ordinary objects. Some of the pure white petals that had bloomed were flowing with a layer of gentle and cool flowing white light, and the green leaves that served as a contrast had a layer of green light floating on them, emitting an enormous aura of life. The lotus roots in the pond were as clear as jade, like the arm of a beauty. They had a meaty feeling that made one want to take a bite. Green water sky lotus! It's a legendary precious lotus! Right at this moment, a group flew over. The leader was a bald male in black battle robes, Jiao Wuji from Nine Darkness Palace. Green water sky lotus! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing looked at each other with surprise. In terms of grade and value, the emerald water sky lotus was comparable to the heaven water crystal lotus from before, and in some aspects, it was even superior. However, Zhao Feng only managed to find one sky water crystal lotus in the divine illusion dimension. As for the emerald water sky lotuses, there were at least several hundred of them growing in the entire pond. In other words, there were several hundred sky water crystal lotuses here. Who everyone present couldn't help but take in a deep breath. The petals of the green water sky lotus have too many uses. They can cleanse the body and soul, get rid of hidden injuries and poisons, and they can even increase one's state of existence. The lotus fruits from the green water sky lotus can help condense soul intent, and they're very useful for Void God Realm Kings. The green leaves can even heal injuries. Those from Nine Darkness Palace discussed excitedly as their hearts beat faster. The functions of the emerald water sky lotus weren't ordinary. The petals, lotus fruits, and green leaves all had extraordinary effects, and their total value was even higher than the sky water crystal lotus. This emerald water sky lotus can consolidate our strength to a certain extent. Zhao Feng decided to stay for now. If it was a normal resource, he wouldn't stay as long as it wasn't ridiculously expensive. However, the green water sky lotuses had a certain effect on Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing's strength. The lotus fruits from the sky lotus could help Zhao Feng consolidate his emperor intent. At the same time, the lotus fruits could help Nan Gongxing condense his soul intent. The petals of the sky lotus and the wicked power that helped Nan Gongxing take out the evil god crystal could cleanse his body and soul. One had to know that Nan Gongxing was just a bit away from breaking through to the late stages of the Void God realm. What's that lotus root? Those from Nine Darkness Palace stood next to the pond as their gazes landed on the lotus roots in the pond. The luster of the lotus roots was like the snow-white skin of a peerless goddess. Just looking at it was extremely attractive. Whoosh! Whoosh! Right at this moment, another group flew over. The person leading them was a beautiful purple-haired girl. Zhao Feng immediately recognized that she was Jilan from the Ji family, one of the 8 big families. A faint purple light flashed in Jilan's eyes as she scanned over the pond, and her body shook. It's the green water sky lotus. That jade-like lotus root grows together with the green water sky lotus. Could it be the legendary spiritual flesh snow jade root? Jilan's expression changed once more as she looked closely. Spiritual flesh snow jade root. Hearing that, a small number of people remembered, and their hearts shook. The legendary spiritual flesh snow jade root that can create a peerless physical body? According to the ancient records, some ancient mighty figures used the spirit flesh snow jade lotus to create an even more perfect body. Then, on this foundation, they used a secret technique similar to possession and recultivation in order to break through to an even higher level. Apparently, the chances of breaking through to the mystic light realm with a physical body created by the spiritual flesh snow jade root is twice as high as normal bodies. Amidst the shock, the crowd began to discuss among themselves. The spiritual flesh snow jade root might not have much of an effect on a cultivator's cultivation, but its use was too unique. However, the function of this jade lotus root was too special. It could create an excellent physical body that was much stronger than a normal human's physique. I have to get this spiritual flesh snow jade root. A sharp light flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes. The spiritual flesh snow jade lotus root might be even more useful to him, and it wouldn't be limited to reconstructing his body. Chapter 837. Next to the rippling pond. Those from Nine Darkness Palace and the Ji family held their breaths as their hearts beat faster. The Jade Water Sky Lotus and the Spirit Flesh Snow Jade Lotus in the pond were legendary treasures. In the current world, they were extremely rare. Among them, the Green Water Sky Lotus had many uses. As for the Spiritual Flesh Snow Jade Lotus, it was extremely profound and had the ability to create a peerless physical body. In comparison, the spiritual flesh snow jade lotus could create a physical body, which made it even more valuable. However, the green water sky lotus was more useful to everyone. It could refine the mind, increase the evolution of one's state of existence, and even heal injuries. So many green water sky lotuses, we're rich! A disciple of the Ji family had an excited expression as he leaped toward the pond. Quick, take action! A genius from Nine Darkness Palace couldn't help but leap into the air and grab a green water sky lotus. The expressions of Jiao Wuji and Ji Lan changed slightly, but it was too late to stop him. One bow! Suddenly, a strand of surging and shocking might of water surged out from within the pond, and a layer of brilliant ripples arose on the surface of the pond. Pun! Pun! The hands of the 2 geniuses were sent flying by the ripple when they were about to approach the green water sky lotus. Wah! The 2 half-step king geniuses spat out blood in the air. Hu bo! The ripple in the pond seemed to have its own intelligence, and formed a green whirlpool that soared into the sky and pulled the 2 geniuses. Save me! The 2 geniuses struggled in the air with fear on their faces. Jiawuji harumphed coldly and made a grabbing motion with one hand. A black hand made of light shot through the air and grabbed that genius. Jilan, of the Ji family, held a silver whip in her hand. Purple light flowed around it like a spirit snake, coiling around the genius on her side. However, she was slightly too slow, and the genius's body was devoured by the green whirlpool. Arg! The lower half of the genius's body was torn into pieces by the ripple, and his entire body was devoured by the whirlpool. Jilan felt a strong force. Her delicate body was shaken, and she was almost pulled into the blue water ripple. Since that genius body had been torn to shreds, the silver whip in her hand became lighter, and she retracted it. Jilan's face paled. She was still scared. The unknown power within the pond definitely had the ability to devour Void God Realm kings. Previously, the reason why Zhao Feng, Jiao Wuji, and the others didn't act rashly was because they felt a powerful water spiritual aura coming from the pond. There was a moment of silence beside the pond. The faces of those from the Nine Darkness Palace and Ji family were filled with fear as they unconsciously distanced themselves from the pond. The two people who attacked just now were both half-step kings. Jiuwuji was powerful and experienced, so he only barely managed to save one of them with his fast reaction speed. The Ji clan's genius died without a corpse to be seen. He died without a burial ground, which made people's hearts turn cold. That pool of water seems to possess intelligence. It will automatically attack its target. What kind of unknown power is hiding in the pond? Those from Nine Darkness Palace and the Ji family stared at the pond and discussed in low voices. At this moment in time, the surface of the pond became calm once more, and it seemed to be just a normal pond. As I thought, this pond doesn't just have intelligence, Zhao Feng murmured as a faint smile appeared on his face. He and Nan Gongxing were the first to arrive, but they stood next to the pond and didn't do anything. Young Sir Zhao, can you tell me what's so mysterious about this pond? Jilan hadn't recovered from the shock and asked Zhao Feng humbly. The purple-haired youth beside the pond had a faint smile in his eyes, as if he could see through everything. Hearing that, both sides looked at Zhao Feng. It's very simple, Zhao Feng said calmly. Everything has intelligence, and this pond has given birth to a powerful water Yao spirit under such a good environment. Water Yao spirit? Everyone paused and started to think. Simply put, the pond itself is a powerful being. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. Bo! As soon as he said that, a ripple appeared on the surface of the pond. It was as if it was replying to Zhao Feng's words. Surprise flashed across Jiuwuji's face. The pond itself was a powerful being, and the water spiritual energy it contained could rip apart Void God Realm kings. Apart from that, Zhao Feng was only at the origin core realm, but he was able to see through the mysteries of the pond so easily. This made Jiuwuji wary, and he couldn't see through Zhao Feng. Purple-haired demonic duo, do you have a way to obtain the green water sky lotuses in the pond? Jiuwuji asked in a deep tone. He had interacted with the purple-haired demonic duo before, and he knew how wicked they were. A way? I'm thinking. Zhao Feng propped his chin with one hand and started to think. This made Jiuwuji and company feel like they were choked and speechless. Maybe Zhao Feng had already thought of a way, but he just didn't want to say it. Or maybe he wasn't sure yet and wanted to observe for a bit longer. Nine Darkness Palace and the Ji family stood next to the pond and thought of a plan. We can use a whip weapon to obtain the green water sky lotuses. That way, even if we don't succeed, there won't be any danger to our lives. An elder from Nine Darkness Palace said. Immediately, a half-step King Monarch with a whip stepped forward. Ha! The half-step Void God Realm roared as the dark silver whip in his hand suddenly extended dozens of yards. The tip turned into a tentacle that grabbed toward one of the green water sky lotuses. Right as the dark silver whip was about to grab the green water sky lotuses, bam! Within the pond, a layer of brilliant blue water rippled and blasted the dark silver metal whip away. At the same time, a powerful surge of water spiritual energy flowed through the whip. Bam! The half-step Void God Realm flew back and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was severely injured and couldn't stand up for a long time. The water spiritual energy contained in this pond is too strong. It'll be hard to fight against it without the battle power of an emperor. Jiuwuji's eyebrows furrowed as he had a solemn expression. Next, Nine Darkness Palace and the Ji family thought of all kinds of ideas to obtain the green water sky lotuses. Those ideas included draining and diverting the water from the pond, and using extremely strong flames to deal with the pond. He even came up with the bold idea of moving mountains and filling ponds. However, all of these ideas failed. In the process of implementing these methods, they were all obstructed and counterattacked by the clear pond. The pond itself is a huge individual, a life form with intelligence. It can even hear your ideas, and with its powerful water spiritual energy, how could it just sit there and wait for death? Zhao Feng had a mocking expression. Hearing this, Jiuwuji was slightly annoyed and felt his face losing face. He was one of the strongest kings of the older generation. When had a junior ever told him what to do? Young Sir Zhao is right. If we want to deal with the pond, we have to treat it like an intelligent life form. We have to find its weakness and attack it. Jilan from the Ji family didn't believe it. Jiao Wuji suppressed the anger and unhappiness in his heart. He knew that the purple-haired demonic duo weren't easy to deal with. In the previous battle, he had been defeated by the purple-haired demonic duo. However, Zhao Feng's words gave Jiao Wuji and Ji Lan some inspiration. Since this pond is an intelligent life form, it can't avoid using soul elemental techniques. A smile appeared on Ji Lan's face. What do you mean? Jiao Wuji's eyes lit up as he understood what Ji Lan was thinking. Zhao Feng revealed a look of praise and nodded his head. Since the pond was an intelligent life form, it would be hard for it to break through. Then why not attack from the soul dimension? Although it was strong because it was born, it didn't mean that its soul was strong. After all, the pond itself wasn't alive, and it wasn't a human being. Jiao Wuji and Ji Lan immediately teamed up and attacked. Purple star eyes! Ji Lan's purple hair blew in the wind, and her eyes were like two purple stars that released a dazzling soul eye bloodline power in the soul dimension. In that instant, the nearby geniuses and elites all felt a terrifying aura sweep through their souls and were enveloped by illusions. Ji Lan's purple star eyes specialized in illusion soul attacks. This attack had the effect of an illusion and could affect the soul. At the same time, it was a physical soul attack. When ripples immediately appeared on the surface of the jade pond, and then waves began to rise and fall. It was obvious that Ji Lan's soul eye bloodline technique had some effect. Demonic sky hand! Jiao Wuji roared and used this chance to attack. Boom! A gigantic pitch-black hand pierced through the void, drawing upon boundless black cloud flame energy and the vast power of the demonic Tao. With an earth-shattering might, it smashed towards a certain area at the edge of the blue pond. Boom! The gigantic demonic hand collided with a layer of ripples on the surface of the pond. Under normal situations, even if Jiao Wuji's demonic Tao secret technique was close to an emperor's, he wouldn't be able to break through the pond's defense. However, at this moment, the pond was affected by Ji Lan's purple star eyes illusion and soul attack, so it couldn't even use 50% of its power. Boom! Jiao Wuji circulated his demonic Tao and domain to the maximum, and the demonic hand finally pushed the ripples down a few feet. At the same time, the geniuses and elites of the Ji family and 9 Darkness Palace all took action to suppress the pond. Star destruction annihilation! Ji Lan's face went red as she gritted her teeth and circulated her soul Tao eye bloodline technique to the maximum. Finally, with everyone's power, they managed to push the ripples down by half a yard, but it was only limited to the small area where the demonic hand was. 2 or 3 green water sky lotuses could be seen in that area. As for the spiritual flesh snow jade lotus, it was in the deeper part of the pond and was hard to find. However, even then, everyone was overjoyed. Attack! Take the sky lotuses! 2 elders barely managed to free themselves from the 2 groups and used whips to obtain the green water sky lotuses. However, the process wasn't easy. The ripples on the surface of the suppressed pond occasionally moved up and down, pushing back the experts who had attacked. One of the elders wasn't able to defend, and the whip in his hand was sucked away by the ripples. The ripples on the surface of the pond were barely suppressed, but they were undulating. From time to time, whirlpools would form or sharp waves would shoot out. 10 breaths later, 9 Darkness Palace and the Ji family teamed up and barely managed to obtain 1 green water sky lotus. It wasn't complete, and some petals and leaves were scattered. I can't hold on for much longer. Jiao Wuji's face was bright red, and his true yuan was in a half-burning state. The demonic hand that had formed his demonic Tao domain started to show signs of instability. I can't hold on for much longer either. Ji Lan's eyes, which looked like purple stars, flickered as cold sweat beaded on her forehead. Take it! At the last moment, an elder from the Ji family barely managed to pluck a few petals, and those from 9 Darkness Palace were lucky enough to grab a lotus seed. When boom, huge waves surged in the jade pond. The blue waves stirred up a strong storm. Bam! Bam! Jiawuji and Jilan, who were at the front, were sent flying. Blood leaked out of Jilan's mouth, and a pair of flaming black wings formed behind Jiawuji's back as he barely managed to stabilize himself. Not bad. Zhao Feng's mouth curled up, as if he was enjoying a spectacular performance. 9 Darkness Palace and the Ji family teamed up and managed to obtain 1.5 green water sky lotuses. They actually succeeded. Nan Gongxing's eyes were moved, and he didn't hide his greed. Not good. Everyone, watch out for the purple-haired demonic duo. Jiawuji's expression changed dramatically as he thought of something in the air. The purple-haired demonic duo had started off by stealing, and they might take this chance to attack. Perhaps the purple-haired demonic duo's style had changed recently, and they didn't steal anymore. Instead, they suggested some ideas, which was why the leaders of both sides had forgotten about them. Damn it! Jilan also realized this. She had been tricked by the purple-haired demonic duo. A leopard couldn't change its spots. Now that Jilan and Jiawuji were sent flying and even injured, would the purple-haired demonic duo not try to steal it? Nan Gongxing unconsciously licked his lips as he felt an instinctive excitement. It's just 1.5 green water sky lotuses. A disdainful voice came from the purple-haired youth of the purple-haired demonic duo. At the same time, a hand gently patted Nan Gongxing's shoulder and stopped him from attacking. They didn't do anything? When did the purple-haired demonic duo change? Jiawuji and Jilan looked at each other and let out a long breath. They felt disbelief. Next to the pond, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing stood there and didn't do anything. If the purple-haired demonic duo had taken the chance to attack, they wouldn't have been able to stop them in time. From what Zhao Feng said, it seemed like he didn't care about the 1.5 green water sky lotuses. Okay, it's our turn now. Zhao Feng's gaze swept across the slightly tired group from 9 Darkness Palace and the Ji family. Hearing that, Jilan and Jiawuji's hearts shook. The people from both sides were bewildered as they stared fixedly at the calm purple-haired youth. What method will the purple-haired demonic duo use to obtain the green water sky lotuses? Apart from feeling bewildered, there was also an indescribable sense of anticipation. Zhao Feng took a step forward, and his purple hair blew without any wind. Purple lightning flashed within his left eye, and a limitless world of purple appeared. In just one step, Jilan's eye bloodline started to tremble for some reason. Pandiao spirit. Hand over half of the green water sky lotuses and spiritual flesh snow jade roots, and I'll let you live. A dominating and emotionless voice shook the soul dimension. The hearts of everyone present, including Jiawuji and company, trembled when they heard this voice. Those from 9 Darkness Palace and the Ji family looked at each other. Weird expressions appeared on Jiawuji's and Jilan's faces. It was hard to believe that Zhao Feng had used such a dominating style to threaten the intelligent Pandiao spirit to hand over the treasures. Chapter 838. Pandiao spirit! Hand over half of the green water sky lotuses and spiritual flesh snow jade roots, and I'll let you live. Zhao Feng's domineering and direct threat caused the hearts of everyone present to shake. Before, Jiawuji and Jilan had only managed to get 1.5 green water sky lotuses after working so hard. However, Zhao Feng was simple. He just asked for half of the sky lotuses and jade roots, which added up to at least a few hundred. As soon as he finished speaking, boom! Within the pond, surging waves rose up, as if declaring the anger and disdain of the demon spirit in the pond. Humph! Zhao Feng snickered coldly as he opened his left eye. A terrifying surge of soul eye bloodline power condensed to the extreme and turned into a mental energy spike that pierced into the pond. In that instant, the nearby elites felt a piercing pain and pressure in their souls. And this was just the remnant of the soul eye bloodline power. Jilan's purple star eyes started to tremble uneasily as the soul eye bloodline power within them was suppressed. Even someone as strong as Jiawuji felt a chill in his heart and felt uneasy. Arg! A shrill scream came from the jade pond. Boom! Boom! The mental energy spike pierced into the Pan Yao spirit's soul, and it was as if 10,000 bolts of lightning were descending. At this moment, Zhao Feng's emperor intent had awakened, and he could use a lot of the power of God Tribulation lightning in his soul. His soul-eye bloodline power had also been refined by the God Tribulation lightning in his previous life. Even a normal mental energy spike could contain some of the power of the God Tribulation lightning. One boom! Waves rose within the pond, and the scream that came from the soul lasted for a long time. Just a mental energy spike formed from Zhao Feng's soul-eye bloodline power had injured the Pan Yao spirit's consciousness. Watch as I destroy your consciousness! Zhao Feng roared. He had already seen through the Pan Yao spirit's strength. The Pan demon spirit's strength was incomparably strong. This was the nurture of the innate environment. After countless years, it had formed its own consciousness, and this jade pond was its body. However, the formation of intelligence and consciousness was relatively slow. The Pan demon spirit didn't know how to condense and strengthen its soul, so it had to rely on the accumulation of time. In terms of strength, the Pan demon spirit was comparable to a great emperor. It was just that it couldn't leave the range of the pond. Its soul was close to that of an emperor in terms of quantity, but in terms of quality and technique, it wasn't as good as a king that specialized in the Tao of the soul. Therefore, Zhao Feng's simple psychic pierce was enough to injure the consciousness of the Pan demon spirit. In a flash, a transparent layer of wind lightning eye flame appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye. This was a soul-level attack, and it was a powerful eye bloodline technique. The elements of the wind lightning eye flame and the Pan demonic spirit countered each other. What a powerful soul-eye bloodline flame! Jilan could feel the terrifying power of the wind lightning eye flame. Normal kings would probably be instantly killed, and their soul would be destroyed. They wouldn't even have the chance to steal another body. Yao Feng was confident that this wind lightning eye flame would be able to severely injure the consciousness of the Pan demon spirit. It might even cause its consciousness to crumble. Boy! Boy! The ripples in the jade pond seemed to indicate that the Pan demon spirit was extremely afraid. No matter how strong it was in the physical dimension, it wouldn't be able to resist Zhao Feng's soul-level eye bloodline flame. My lord, please spare me! Within the rippling pond, a jade rippling water fairy that was like a blooming lotus flower condensed, emitting a majestic water spiritual pressure. The geniuses and elites around the pond felt a suffocating pressure. My lord! I'll let you have the green water sky lotus and the spiritual flesh snow jade root. The jade wave water fairy had an otherworldly aura and was lovely and moving. She had a pleading look on her face and looked quite pitiful. This scene left Jiao Wuji, Jilan, and the others dumbfounded. As soon as Zhao Feng appeared, he forced the Pan demon spirit to hand over the green sky water lotus and the spiritual flesh snow jade root. Thinking about how they had only managed to obtain 1.5 green water sky lotuses after working so hard. Only now did everyone understand why Zhao Feng didn't even bother taking the 1.5 green water sky lotuses from before. Collect the spoils of war! Zhao Feng's left eye locked onto the lotus-like green rippling water goddess. The jade wave water fairy was a body formed from the jade wave water of the pond. So easily! Nan Gongxing was dazed and couldn't believe what he was seeing. Zhao Feng's order made him understand, and he quickly flew off to collect the green water sky lotuses and spiritual flesh snow jade roots. Meow meow! A silver-gray line flashed, and a kitten landed in the pond first. It swiftly harvested the azure water sky lotuses and the spiritual flesh snow jade roots. Zhao Feng didn't do anything, but his left eye flashed with a cold light that made the green rippling water goddess feel as if she was being frozen. Whoosh! Whoosh! Nan Gongxing and the little thieving cat quickly picked the spoils of war in the pond. Jiao Wuji and company were dazed. Their eyes went red with jealousy, and their hearts were filled with unwillingness. Just how many emerald water sky lotuses were there in this pond? Not long later, Nan Gongxing and the little thieving cat took half of the green water sky lotuses and spiritual flesh snow jade roots. That's enough. Zhao Feng waved his hand and told Nangongxing and the little thieving cat to stop. He could already tell that the green water sky lotuses and spiritual flesh snow jade roots were related to the pond demon spirit's foundation. Since they were willing to submit, Zhao Feng was willing to give them a chance to live. After organizing the spoils of war, there were around 600 to 700 green water sky lotuses and spiritual flesh snow jade roots. Zhao Feng, all these spoils of war belong to you. Nangongxing only kept 10 green water sky lotuses and a few spiritual flesh snow jade roots. In reality, with Nangongxing and Zhao Feng's level, keeping a few green water sky lotuses would be useful, but there was no point in keeping more. True mystic light realm sacred lords and demigods didn't just rely on a large amount of resources. They also had a higher demand for quality as they progressed. If the quality of the resources wasn't high enough, they wouldn't be able to create an emperor. If I take these green water sky lotuses to the outside world, I can create a bunch of void god realm kings. Zhao Feng had his own plans. Green water sky lotuses were split into petals, seeds, and leaves. They were very useful for the soul, the physical body, and even healing. This was a rare treasure for those below the void god realm. Zhao Feng could use a few himself to consolidate his cultivation and awaken his emperor intent. However, this spirit flesh snow jade root, the more, the better. A faint smile formed on Zhao Feng's face. The spiritual flesh snow jade lotus root could create a body with high aptitude. It was not an ordinary body of flesh and blood. Luckily, Zhao Feng cultivated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, which allowed him to split his thoughts into countless parts. Think about it. If he had enough resources, he could create a bunch of jade root clones, which could be controlled by the 10,000 divine thoughts technique. They could be used to attack, lure enemies, or even become human bombs. In some situations, the clones created from the spiritual flesh snow jade roots could even be used as a temporary host. The most ideal scenario was for Zhao Feng to create thousands of clones. At that point in time, any physical body would just be a host for Zhao Feng. Only his soul would remain. Of course. This was just a thought that Zhao Feng had after meeting the spiritual flesh snow jade root, and it had toppled conventional wisdom. Purple-haired demonic duo. Aren't you afraid that you'll burn your hands by taking such a large amount of resources for yourself? Jiao Wuji had an unfriendly gaze. The eyes of the geniuses from Nine Darkness Palace and the Ji family turned red or green as they stared at Zhao Feng. How could they accept Zhao Feng taking such a large amount of resources for himself? Each green water sky lotus or spiritual flesh snow jade root was a peerless treasure in the outside world. For half-step void god realms and normal void god realms, even one was extremely tempting. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had obtained such a large amount of peerless resources. What? You want to fight? A playful smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Everyone's bodies froze. Zhao Feng's words struck a chord in their hearts. If it was any other genius or elite, they would have the thought of stealing Zhao Feng and Zhao Feng's harvest. However, the strength of the purple-haired demonic duo and Zhao Feng's unfathomable strength made Jiao Wuji and company wary. If they really fought, they definitely wouldn't be able to stop the purple-haired demonic duo. If Zhao Feng was serious, both sides might suffer heavy losses, and the consequences might be even worse. Most importantly, it was hard to guess how strong Zhao Feng was. The youth in their vision had purple hair, a purple left eye, and a smile that wasn't a smile. He was like a dead ocean that no one knew how deep he was. See you later. Zhao Feng and Nangongxing were covered by a layer of silver and purple as they flew into the distance. Preposterous. The playful voice almost made Jiao Wuji explode in anger. Why are there broken green water sky lotuses here? There's also the spiritual flesh snow jade root. Suddenly, one of the geniuses exclaimed. There were some broken green water sky lotuses and some rotten snow jade roots where Zhao Feng had left. All in all, they were all defective items. Quick! The geniuses and elites present instantly started to fight over them. Chaos broke out on both sides. There were a lot of defective products left behind. There were dozens of them. After all of them were taken. Jiawuji's expression was extremely grim as he gritted his teeth and said, "This Zhao Feng is definitely doing this on purpose." Zhao Feng had obtained a large number of peerless resources, but he had left behind some defective items for the others to fight over. This was like a rich person leaving behind some leftovers for beggars to fight over. He's going too far. The demonic light around Jiawuji's body shook, and he almost went berserk. He made up his mind to find the right opportunity to make a move on this fat sheep. Ha! Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing were covered by a layer of silver and purple as they charged forward. Laughter sounded. 4 hours later, the two found a hidden fake mountain, took out the green water sky lotuses, and started to use them. Zhao Feng, with these green water sky lotuses, I'll be able to break through to the late stages of the Void God realm very quickly. Nan Gongxing was extremely confident. Sure. Zhao Feng also took out a green water lotus seed and put it in his mouth as he circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique to consolidate his emperor intent. Chapter 839. The green water sky lotus had many uses. Its petals, seeds, and leaves were all useful for Void God realm kings. Zhao Feng first took out a lotus seed and consolidated his soul intent. The petals, seeds, and leaves of the emerald water sky lotus all had a cleansing and purifying effect. The lotus seed also had a similar effect on soul intent. Before, Zhao Feng used the soul-suppressing stone to refine and absorb soul power. After all, he was using an external force to strengthen his soul in a short amount of time. However, this method had its drawbacks. Right now, Zhao Feng was using the green water lotus seed to consolidate his soul intent and get rid of some of the hidden injuries. It would have been perfect if I had gotten the green water sky lotus earlier. Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh. He took out a flower petal and swallowed it, causing a weird and refreshing aura to spread through his body. Apart from the cleansing effect, the lotus petal could also increase one's state of existence and get rid of hidden injuries and poisons. After entering the divine illusion dimension, Zhao Feng had used an external force to increase his strength in a short amount of time, but his body was still under some pressure, including some hidden injuries. Through the lotus petals and seeds, Zhao Feng's body and soul were both strengthened. Half a day later, after using a green water sky lotus, Zhao Feng felt refreshed, and his mental energy reached its peak. However, he still felt slightly regretful. If Zhao Feng had obtained the green water sky lotus earlier, his cultivation and strength would have increased even more. Unfortunately, Zhao Feng's soul was already quite strong among Void God realm kings. Its quality and density far surpassed the Void God realm kings. The lotus seed could only consolidate Zhao Feng's soul, but it didn't increase his strength at all. On the other hand, Nan Gongxing's cultivation and soul had increased a lot through the green water sky lotus. Nan Gongxing was at the crucial moment of breaking through to the late stages of the Void God realm. Zhao Feng stood to the side and protected him. Nan Gongxing will probably break through to the late stages of the Void God realm within 3 days. Zhao Feng took back his gaze. As such, Zhao Feng decided to consolidate his strength before entering the depths of Xianyang Palace. Puchi! Zhao Feng tore off a few more petals of the green water sky lotus and swallowed them. This lotus petal could increase the evolution of one's state of existence, but it wasn't very effective on Zhao Feng, who was at the peak of the 4th level of the sacred lightning body. The main reason was that Zhao Feng's state of existence and body already had a strong foundation that surpassed normal Void God realm kings. However, Zhao Feng did not give up. He took the lotus petals one by one. Every time he took a petal, a fresh aura would bloom in his body, cleansing his body, expelling impurities, and expelling hidden injuries. Perhaps 1 or 2 pills would have an average effect, but what about 10, dozens, or even hundreds of pills? Every emerald water sky lotus had 1 to 20 petals. When the quantity reached a certain level, it could also cause a qualitative change. 2 days later, Zhao Feng had consumed more than 200 lotus petals. His skin was white and tender like a baby's, enough to make some girls jealous. Poof poof! Zhao Feng's eyes were tightly shut, and his entire body was surrounded by a layer of rippling water lightning, which made a sizzling sound. Crack! Crack! At a certain moment, the bones in Zhao Feng's body started to crack, and a faint golden light appeared on his skin. What was even weirder was that Zhao Feng's body instantly increased in size, and he was like a small golden blue giant. In terms of body size, he had already surpassed normal humans. When a faint layer of faint golden blue lightning appeared around Zhao Feng's body. Rumble! In an instant, the fake mountain that Zhao Feng was on collapsed, and only a pile of charred stone was left behind. What a strong body! On the other side, Nan Gongxing, who was about to break through, felt the blood within his body shake, and he felt a heavy pressure on his body. Fortunately, the two of them kept a certain distance from each other while cultivating. Crack! Crack! Zhao Feng's bones and muscles started to contract, and he turned into the size of an 8-year-old child. However, his face remained the same. When the layer of faint golden blue lightning became brighter and almost materialized, forming a barrier around Zhao Feng's body. 5th level of the sacred lightning body! Joy and excitement appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Back then, the child demigod had only managed to reach the 5th level of the Golden Queen's sacred body after reviving from a drop of blood and using a large amount of resources. He only beat Zhao Feng in terms of a small level. On the other hand, Zhao Feng's Golden Queen's sacred lightning body could be seen as a strengthened version of the Golden Queen's sacred body, and its potential was even greater. A few breaths later, Zhao Feng calmed down. His body returned to its normal size, and the physical force lightning runes around him quickly faded. After breaking through to the 5th level of the sacred lightning body, Zhao Feng's confidence increased dramatically. From then on, he didn't use his true yuan or his eye bloodline. Just his physical strength alone was enough to suppress normal Void God Realm Kings. Once he got close, normal Void God Realm Kings would be crushed by him. The sacred lightning body didn't just give him physical strength, it also gave him strong defense, survivability, and recovery speed. It could be said that the 5th level of the sacred lightning body was comparable to the beginner immortal body. Without enough power, one wouldn't be able to threaten it at all. 4 hours later, a surge of magnificent power appeared in the fake mountain area, and silver and purple light appeared in the air like clouds. In an instant, a mysterious and evil aura caused the surrounding yuan qi of the world to freeze in a strange manner. At this moment, even the nearby god's restriction formation trembled and sensed it for no reason. Zhao Feng revealed a weird expression. It wasn't because Nan Gongxing had broken through to the late stages of the Void God realm, but because his cultivation had increased. One had to know that there were powerful laws within Xiayang Palace that suppressed all sorts of powers. However, Nan Gongxing's aura when he broke through was able to cause the god's forbidden array to react. Success! Nan Gongxing's purple hair became more bewitching, and the purple and blood-colored mark on his forehead became brighter. His every breath and every movement he made contained an unparalleled power that could cause ordinary quintessence to crumble without putting up a fight. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised when he saw this. At this moment, the evil god crystal had completely merged with Nan Gongxing's spatial domain, and it had even merged with the foundation of his true yuan dimension. Nan Gongxing's spatial power and the power of the evil god crystal had completely merged together. At this moment, Nan Gongxing was extremely strong, and his strength completely surpassed Jiu Wuji from Nine Darkness Palace. If he didn't use his left eye bloodline and emperor intent, even Zhao Feng didn't have any confidence in beating him. Congratulations, Nan Gongxing. With your current strength, you can rank in the top 20 of the Great Gone Imperial Geniuses. Zhao Feng congratulated with a smile. When Nan Gongxing first entered the Divine Illusion dimension, his strength was only around the top 100 of the Imperial Geniuses. The late stages of the Void God realm are much faster than I expected. All of this is thanks to the evil god Crystal and junior martial brother Zhao. Nan Gongxing couldn't help but sigh, and his gaze became complicated when it landed on Zhao Feng. If it wasn't for the fact that he met Zhao Feng, he wouldn't have had such fortune and continued to grow stronger. Zhao Feng shook his head disapprovingly. When he first entered the divine illusion dimension, he wasn't strong enough, and he needed to rely on a group. Luckily, he met Nan Gongxing, and he was able to use the latter's king-level strength and his unique spatial talents. From a certain perspective, Zhao Feng helped Nan Gongxing, and Nan Gongxing helped Zhao Feng. The two of them needed each other, and they formed a perfect team. Now, both Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing had the ability to act alone. Zhao Feng's sacred lightning body had broken through to the 4th level, and he didn't have any weaknesses in terms of basic battle power, so he didn't need Nan Gongxing anymore. However, the two of them could unleash even more power when they worked together. Zhao Feng, I can feel a power calling out to me from the depths of Xiayang Palace. Nan Gongxing wanted to say something, but he finally said it. Hearing that, a light flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes. There was no need to guess at all. This definitely had something to do with the evil god crystal. The evil god crystal was most likely formed from the divine power of ancient god Xiayang, and it was stored in the underground city to stabilize the disasters caused by the Black Serpent Dragon struggles. However, no matter how strong the seal was, it would still have flaws after countless years. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing taking the evil god crystal was just a fuse. Nan Gongxing, you've already started to merge with the power of the evil god crystal, but it hasn't truly changed your personality yet. If you go along with the call of this power, you might be able to grow infinitely stronger, but the dangers involved are difficult to estimate. In the end, you might lose everything. Zhao Feng's tone contained a hint of warning. This call was most likely related to the power left behind by ancient god Xiayang. Right now, Nan Gongxing had two choices in front of him. The first was to stop while he was ahead. With the help of the evil god crystal, Nan Gongxing's potential would increase, and he wouldn't need to worry about it before he reached the heavenly divine realm. His future achievements wouldn't be any weaker than the demigod Kun Yun at his peak. The second was to listen to the call and continue forward. However, the dangers involved were unpredictable. After all, the evil god crystal was the power of a god, and this palace was also the palace of a god. How could mortals dream about the power of a god? Furthermore, Xiayang was an evil god, and he definitely wasn't a good person. Nan Gongxing stood there and took a deep breath. His expression flickered as he thought for a long time. The next choice would definitely be the turning point of his life. In reality, Nan Gongxing was already lucky that the evil god crystal didn't affect his personality or assimilate it. Zhao Feng had also helped them both in the open and in the shadows. Furthermore, Zhao Feng was an unsurpassable mountain in Nan Gongxing's heart. Junior Marshal Brother Zhao, you once chased after the Emperor of Death and revived the demigod Kun Yun. Since you've helped me until now, you should help me to the end. Nan Gongxing bowed deeply toward Zhao Feng with gratitude and expectation. The choice is up to you. A forceful physical force appeared from Zhao Feng's body and blocked Nan Gongxing's bow. Instinct tells me that the power that's calling me can allow me to reach the peak of the human world and even touch the domain of gods. Nan Gongxing took a deep breath as a desire for power appeared in his eyes. The domain of gods. Even Zhao Feng was slightly moved. Okay, this is your choice. I will help you. Zhao Feng agreed. In reality, he still had many other things to consider. If he followed Nan Gongxing's lead, he might be able to find some secrets regarding the domain of gods in the depths of Xiayang Palace. Outside Xiayang Palace. Zhizhi, things are getting more and more interesting. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's enormous black-scaled body spun in the air and murmured. But the domain of gods isn't something these ants can pry into. However, one of those brats merged with the evil god crystal, and the other revived a demigod. I can't underestimate them. Chapter 840. Next to the fake mountain, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing, who had both broken through, consolidated their cultivation for another half a day before heading toward the depths of Xianyang Palace. Because they had spent 3 days breaking through, they might be behind the geniuses and elites of other forces. Whoosh! Whoosh! A layer of silver and purple light covered the two as they flashed through the air at a shocking speed. As they went deeper, they found some treasures that were tempting. Some of the most ordinary items in the god's mansion were extremely difficult to come by for the experts from the outside world. Some even dreamed of obtaining them. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing wouldn't stay for normal treasures. The two of them would only make a move on some extremely valuable and useful treasures. Half a day later, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing entered the depths of Xianyang Palace. In his field of vision, a vast group of pavilions and palaces appeared. The magnificent buildings were connected by corridors or bridges. The style of these buildings was mostly dark, with dark purple and dark red being the majority. In the center of the buildings, there was an amethyst pagoda that pierced through the clouds. It was made of countless amethyst jades. The purple crystal tower was extremely far away, but a terrifying pressure could be felt from it. The true yuan of some of the nearby outsiders started to tremble, and they didn't dare to fight against the purple crystal tower head-on. Otherwise, the pressure would increase exponentially. Wah! A handsome male in black armor spat out a mouthful of blood in a corridor, and his face was pale white. "Young Sir Qi, don't fight against the purple crystal tower's power!" An elder with a flowery beard exclaimed. The handsome male in black armor and the elder with the flowery beard were both Void God Realm kings, and the former was a domain-level king. This group came from Grand Duke Qi's palace, one of the 18 provinces of the Great Gon Lord dynasty. That purple crystal tower is probably connected to the core of Xianyang Palace. The power of each purple jade stone is at least comparable to a substandard god crystal, the elder with the flowery beard said in his heart. This elder was originally a half-step king from Grand Duke Qi's palace. After entering the divine illusion dimension and Xianyang Palace, he finally became a king with the help of fortune. In reality, most of the geniuses and elites that entered the divine illusion dimension had some sort of breakthrough. After all, the people selected by the major forces were either peerless geniuses or the best of the older generation. We've already fallen behind Sky Suspension Palace and the Imperials. The black-armored young Master Qi consumed a drop of the rare dew that he had obtained from Xianyang Palace, and his injuries quickly healed. Even his face looked better than before. Those from Grand Duke Qi's palace reorganized themselves and carefully explored the depths of Xianyang Palace. Along the way, the forces had also encountered some danger in Xianyang Palace. These so-called dangers might be very normal for Xianyang Palace, but to outsiders, they might be extremely dangerous. For example, the poisonous thorns of some plants, or a puddle of stinky water in a puddle could kill half-step kings, or even kings. Therefore, as they advanced, the teams of the major forces remained vigilant. Swoosh! At this moment, a layer of silver and purple light enveloped two figures and arrived at the palace complex in the depths of the mansion. Purple-haired demonic duo! Those from Grand Duke Qi's palace roared in anger as they revealed expressions of hatred and panic. Young Master Qi and the bearded old man's faces were filled with hostility and killing intent as they chased after Lin Fan. "Thieves! Where do you think you're going?" the black-armored young Master Qi yelled. His face was filled with rage as he took the lead. Shwa! The silver and purple light landed on a pavilion. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing had puzzled expressions. "Purple-haired demonic duo, you ambushed and robbed Grand Duke Qi's palace, and you even killed 2 disciples of Grand Duke Qi's palace. How are you going to pay for this?" the bearded elder said in a deep tone. "Ambushed and robbed?" Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing looked at each other and felt confused. Yes, they had robbed many forces in the divine illusion dimension. However, they didn't seem to have done anything to Grand Duke Qi's palace. At the very least, after entering Xianyang Palace, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing decided to take the high-end route and stop robbing other forces. No matter how strong Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing were, they didn't want to offend all the forces. Even if they weren't afraid in the divine illusion dimension, how could they handle the pursuit of the 3 or 4-star sects when they returned to the Lord Dynasty? Right at this moment, the black-armored male and bearded elder from Grand Duke Chi's palace charged over from the 2 sides. Resplendent sky star! The black-armored male held a long spear in his hand. The instant he stabbed out, stars seemed to explode in the sky, and a bone-chilling aura passed through every corner of the dimension. That simple spear strike was infused with a cold and heavy spatial phantom. In terms of strength, this black-armored young Master Chi was close to Jiowuji's level. He had grown a lot in the divine illusion dimension. Child's play! A black-clothed young man with purple hair fluttering madly in the wind slammed into the black-armored young Master Chi along with a dazzling silver and purple afterimage. The silver and purple shadows faintly outlined an almost solid silver and purple space. It erupted with a demonic power that was enough to shake a monarch's expression. Boom! Whoosh! 2 figures and 2 spatial domains clashed in the air. Not good! The black-armored young Master Chi screamed. His spear strike had been devoured by an evil and mysterious force. Immediately, a field of piercingly cold silver-purple wavy blades slashed over layer by layer. One ding! 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 Young Master Chi was forced back, and the cold starlight on his body dimmed by more than half. Marks were also left on his armor. If it wasn't for the protection of the armor that was close to a heaven-grade divine weapon, even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. At the same time, on the other side, the battle between Zhao Feng and the bearded elder also stopped. Fuck off! Zhao Feng's simple punch released a golden blue light that was covered in a layer of lightning. Boom! A heavy feeling could be felt in the air, as if a giant mountain had suddenly descended. Arg! The bearded elder who had just reached the void god realm screamed as his magnificent power shattered. He fell from the sky like a kite with its string cut, and his entire body was scorched black. With just one punch, Zhao Feng heavily injured the bearded elder with just the power of his sacred lightning body. Si! The half-step kings from Grand Duke Chi's palace all took in cold breaths as their faces went white. In just one move, young Master Chi and the bearded elder were both instantly defeated. The Void God Realm bearded elder was injured by the purple-haired Great Origin Core Realm youth with just one punch. Those from Grand Duke Chi's palace, if you don't give me an explanation, don't even think about leaving. Nan Gongxing snickered coldly. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing felt weird when they were suddenly attacked by Grand Duke Chi's palace. Purple-haired demonic duo! We're all on the same boat right now, but you're still so stubborn and still dare to attack humans. The bearded elder sat up from the ground and said with a sorrowful expression. Attack? When did we attack? Nan Gongxing scolded. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as he stood on the side and started to think. Don't try to act dumb. 2 days ago, when Grand Duke Chi's palace was trying to obtain the Sky Dew precious water, we were attacked by you. It's those 2 bastards. We can recognize them even if they're turned to dust. Those from Grand Duke Chi's palace were enraged. Everyone was sure that the purple-haired demonic duo had attacked them. Humph! Purple-haired demonic duo! It's not just 1 or 2 forces that have been attacked by you. Right now, everyone has joined hands to eliminate you all. These people were filled with hatred and fear, but they didn't dare to attack anymore. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing looked at each other and felt that something was wrong. Purple-haired demonic duo! Hand over your life! Almost 10 figures flew over from the corridor not far away. One of them was a black-robed young man, while the other was a gorgeous blue-haired beauty. It's the Jiang family. Jiang Chun and the number 1 beauty of the Jiang family, Jiang Feixue. The people from Grand Duke Chi's mansion were delighted. Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing had fought with the Jiang family before, so they were very familiar with each other. However, the number 1 beauty of the Jiang family, who had been plundered by Zhao Feng, had also become a king. Originally, after failing to kill the purple-haired demonic duo, the Jiang family had already given up on killing them. Furthermore, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had threatened them back at Xieyang Palace, so they were all in the same boat. Purple-haired demonic duo! The blue-haired Jiang Feishue gritted her teeth and said, "Not to mention that you took away my jellyfish essence. After you entered Xieyang Palace, you ambushed and killed one member of the Jiang family, injured 2 members, and stole the 5 profound heavy water that we obtained with great difficulty. Zhao Feng! Nangong Xing! Before we resolve the Black Flood Dragon's crisis, we must first get rid of you 2 scum!" Jiang Chun flew over and attacked Zhao Feng and Zhao Feng from the other side. Zhao Feng and his companion were still confused. They hadn't made any enemies after entering Xieyang Palace. After all, everyone was being threatened by the Black Serpent Dragon. Zhao Feng understood how to look at the big picture. "Retreat for now!" Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing both sensed something. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 quickly retreated amidst a layer of silver and purple light. "Stop!" Jiang Qin, Jiang Feishue, and the black-armored young Serchi all attacked at the same time. Boom! A bewitching layer of silver and purple light spread through the air. At the same time, a dominating physical force from a sacred body crushed down like a mountain and caused everyone's blood to tremble. Bam! 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 The 3 kings were all pushed back, and Jiang Feishue, who had just reached the Void God realm, was sent flying. Blood leaked out of her mouth, and her face went pale. "The purple-haired demonic duo is becoming stronger and stronger." The faces of the 2 teams were filled with horror. "The demonic duo seems to be holding back." The heavily injured elder with the long beard had a solemn expression as his eyes twinkled. Whoosh! 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 A while later, 10 to 20 figures floated down from the top of a pavilion on the opposite side. "Sky Suspension Palace!" Joy appeared on the faces of those from the Jiang family and Grand Duke Qi's palace. However, those from Sky Suspension Palace were 1 step too late. The purple-haired demonic duo had already disappeared like ghosts. "We're too late. The purple-haired demonic duo seems to have sensed something and left early." The 3 kings of Sky Suspension Palace, Xian Yuanwen, Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge, and the female in robes, walked over. Coldness appeared in the eyes of the 3 kings. "Humph! The purple-haired demonic duo's life is too long. They even dared to sneak attack those from Sky Suspension Palace." The female in robes had a cold expression. "Everyone, don't worry. I will definitely kill the demonic duo." Killing intent and anger appeared on Xian Yuanwen's handsome face for the first time. All of a sudden, his eyes emitted a terrifying divine glow, as if it could penetrate the universe and destroy everything in its path. Emperor intent. This intent seems to be even stronger than normal Emperor intent. The expressions of those from the Jiang family and Grand Duke Qi's palace changed dramatically. Those from Sky Suspension Palace weren't surprised at all. If it wasn't for the fact that Junior Marshal Brother Xian Yuan purposely suppressed his cultivation, he would have become an emperor before entering the divine illusion dimension. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge said calmly. The Jiang family and Grand Duke Qi's palace revealed joyful expressions. With Xian Yuanwen, it would be extremely easy to take care of the purple-haired demonic duo. Chapter 841. Whoosh! Whoosh! A layer of silver and purple brought Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing through the corridors, bridges, and rivers in the depths of Xieyang Palace. With Nan Gongxing's current cultivation, the power of his spatial techniques couldn't be compared to before. Especially in such a complicated geographical environment, the use of spatial escape techniques was like a fish in water. Zhao Feng's expression changed slightly as he sensed something. A powerful intent that seemed to be able to slash through heaven and earth suddenly appeared where they were fighting. The aura of this soul intent had reached the peak of perfection. Emperor intent! Nan Gongxing was slightly late, and his face was filled with shock. The 2 looked at each other, and Zhao Feng soon calmed down and murmured to himself. As expected of a peerless prodigy from a 4-star superpower. Xian Yuanwen? He's also formed Emperor intent? Nan Gongxing couldn't hide the shock on his face. Xian Yuanwen was ranked 7th on the Great Gone Imperial Genius rankings. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the top 3 geniuses were. Of course, it was certain that if they could safely leave the Divine Illusion dimension this time, their rankings on the Imperial Path Genius rankings would increase. It's not just Emperor intent. He's already a complete Void God Realm Emperor. Zhao Feng sighed. When the dragon-shaped crater was formed, Zhao Feng inspected Xian Yuanwen and found that the latter's intent was extremely close to that of an emperor, and he was purposely concealing it. Void God Realm Emperor. Nan Gongxing found it hard to accept that Xian Yuanwen was only in his 20s. It was unimaginable in the Tsing Ocean. Even the left-eyed Heavenly Emperor Zhao Feng at his peak was only at the middle stages of the Void God Realm. He had formed peak Emperor intent, but he hadn't become a Void God Realm Emperor yet. Retreat according to the path I point out, Zhao Feng said in a deep tone. He could faintly feel a powerful aura approaching from behind. Zhao Feng didn't want to fight a Void God Realm Emperor right now. No one was willing to do something that didn't give them any benefits. Zhao Feng needed to find out the truth first since he was being chased by so many forces. Who the hell is impersonating us? A sharp light flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes. Ever since he entered the Divine Illusion dimension, a rare hint of anger appeared on his face. Previously, the Jiang clan and Grand Duke Qi's residents didn't seem to be acting. Swoosh! The layer of silver-purple light increased the speed of the escape by another level. Puff! Puff! Along the way, Zhao Feng circulated his sacred body and Soul Dao secret techniques to erase the aura he left behind when he retreated. In his previous life, Zhao Feng had gone from being chased to being the one being chased to being the one being chased. He had some experience in tracking and being chased. Not only did Zhao Feng eliminate the aura, but he also deliberately created an ambiguous aura. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea. Behind him, the powerful aura of a martial monarch was nowhere to be seen. Nan Gongxing let out a breath. No wonder his partner was the famous left-eyed Heavenly Emperor of the Tsing Ocean. He was able to escape from Xian Yuanwen so easily. The current situation isn't good for us. Almost all the forces that entered Xiayang Palace are against us. Zhao Feng had a solemn expression, and he didn't feel any sense of accomplishment. Nan Gongxing's heart couldn't help but go numb when he thought about it. In other words, the purple-haired demonic duo was hated by all the 3-star and 4-star forces in Xiayang Palace. If it was a normal group, they probably wouldn't be able to do anything. Who dares to impersonate us? What's in it for them in front of the Black Serpent Dragon? Nan Gongxing couldn't help but think. The first person Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing thought of was Jiu Wuji from Nine Darkness Palace. However, the conflict between them and Jiu Wuji was just about face and profit. It wasn't to the point where they had to fight to the death. After all, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon was everyone's biggest enemy right now. According to normal logic, there's no need for anyone to do this. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. Nan Gongxing nodded his head. Even the non-human expert didn't seem to have a motive to attack them. After all, fighting amongst themselves wasn't good for anyone. Only by working together would they be able to survive against the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Maybe I know the answer. Zhao Feng didn't say anything this time, but his eyes revealed some information to Nan Gongxing. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon would be able to sense their conversation. Nan Gongxing couldn't help but think. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two landed near a bridge that was relatively low. Below them was a green river, and they could see fishes playing around. Right at this moment, a group walked over from a courtyard not far away. I don't believe it! How could Brother Feng do something like this? A cold woman's voice came from the group, and it was filled with a firm tone. Zhao Yufei! The truth was right in front of them. The purple-haired demonic duo ambushed us from behind and crippled 2 members of the Duanmu family. One of them was my little brother. A male in azure robes said with anger and displeasure. The emotions of this male in azure robes fluctuated, and a magnificent power shone from his body. He seemed to have just become a king. Yufei! Duanmu Yu! No matter what the truth is, let's not fight amongst ourselves, the elder in green robes said in a deep tone. The group in front of them belonged to the Duanwu family, one of the 8 big families. Compared to when they first entered the divine illusion dimension, the Duanwu family had a new king. Of course, the one with the strongest aura was still Zhao Yufei, who was like a goddess of ice and jade. Her cultivation was close to the peak king level. Yufei. Zhao Feng's expression was grim as he stood under the bridge. This was unbearable. He didn't think that the fake purple-haired demonic duo would even ambush the Duanwu family. Some. Zhao Feng's figure leapt into the air as he landed in front of the Duanwu family's group. Zhao Feng! Nan Gongxing's expression changed slightly. He didn't think that Zhao Feng would reveal his identity. His figure flashed as he quickly followed behind Zhao Feng. One had to know that the Duanwu family had 3 kings, and Zhao Yufei's strength was immeasurable. Furthermore, all the forces had entered the depths of Xiayang Palace, so they could communicate with each other. Purple-haired demonic duo! Those from the Duanwu family were enraged and filled with killing intent. These demonic duo were just too arrogant. Not only did they ambush them earlier, they even dared to show themselves now. The elder in green robes' first thought was to calm the 2 down before sending a message to Sky Suspension Palace, the Imperials, and the other forces. Yufei. Zhao Feng stood in front of them and slowly punched toward the Duanwu family. In an instant, the hearts of those from the Duanwu family shook, and their minds became chaotic. The scene in front of them blurred, and they fell into an ancient illusion city that was covered in mist. Most of their senses were turned upside down, and their control over their bodies dropped dramatically. Even an experienced king like the elder in green robes could barely summon a defensive barrier and send a message through the soul, but it was like a stone sinking into the ocean. In just one palm, everyone from the Duanwu family fell into Zhao Feng's illusion maze domain. What a profound technique! And Gongxing couldn't help but sigh. Only Zhao Yufei of the Duanwu family wasn't affected by the illusion maze domain. She looked at the elites of the Duanwu family, who were spinning around in a daze, and her pretty face was filled with shock. Your brother Feng! Zhao Yufei revealed a confident and joyful expression. The purple-haired youth raised one hand in the air and used the illusion maze domain to cover the other members of the Duanwu family. Yufei! Your Duanwu family was also attacked by the fake purple-haired demonic duo? Zhao Feng asked in a low tone. And they're 2 people that look exactly the same as you. Zhao Yufei nodded her head and said. Hearing the word fake, Zhao Yufei let out a breath. Can you see what happened back then? Zhao Feng paused. Once one reached the level of a void god realm king, their souls would become extremely strong, and they would be able to look back through their memories. And Zhao Yufei waved her hand, and a purple screen appeared in the air. When an image appeared on the purple screen. At the start, the group from the Duanwu family was teaming up to deal with a patch of vines, and their goal was to take some fruits. The vines were extremely troublesome to deal with, and Zhao Yufei was the main force fighting against them. However, at the crucial moment when they wanted to take the fruits, Shua! With a flash of silver and purple, 2 purple-haired figures appeared. How is this possible? The expressions of Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing changed dramatically. This was because the 2 people in the image were the same as Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing. The 2 figures were extremely fast, but their general appearance and attacking style were similar to the purple-haired demonic duo. Immediately after that, the 2 sneak attacked and took the fruits. Because Zhao Yufei had to deal with the vines, the 2 of them succeeded. Brother Feng! Zhao Yufei revealed a pained and disbelieving expression as she sent the purple-haired demonic duo off with her eyes. Shua! The 2 purple-haired figures turned into a layer of silver and purple light that merged into the air with a flash and disappeared. So fast! Could it be that one of those 2 also specializes in spatial techniques? Nan Gongxing was stunned. Just from the scene, it was impossible to tell that the purple-haired demonic duo was in disguise. They even merged into the surrounding space when they retreated. Unbelievable! Zhao Feng murmured. There were many geniuses and talents that entered the divine illusion dimension. Based on the scene alone, the two of them displayed three types of abilities. First, powerful disguise abilities. Second, spatial techniques, similar to Nangongxing's. Third, stealth, which allowed them to merge into the environment. This might be the same as the first ability. Yufei, did you notice anything weird? Xiao Feng asked. Xiao Yufei thought for a while before saying, from the reactions of the other forces, the fake demonic duo is always robbing them at the most critical moment. At the critical moment every time? Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing looked at each other in disbelief. It was very hard for them to grasp the right timing every time they robbed. I understand now. The answer in Zhao Feng's heart was becoming clearer and clearer, almost as if it was about to appear. Right at this moment, the figures of a group appeared in their sights. Yufei, we'll meet again. Zhao Feng's hand, which was in the air, suddenly retracted. Plop! Plop! Many people from the Duanmu family knelt down or became unsteady. Shua! Only then did the green-robed elder and company break free from the illusion maze domain. Where did the purple-haired demonic duo go? Everyone was still scared and didn't know what was going on. The green-robed elder and the azure-robed male had shocked expressions as they faintly saw a flash of silver-purple light merge into the buildings in the depths of Xieyang Palace. Chapter 842. Outside Xieyang Palace, the black destruction serpent dragon's black-scaled body spun in the air and occasionally slammed its claws onto the god's forbidden array, causing hundreds and thousands of purple and blood-colored threads of light to shoot out. Zhizhi, this game has only just begun. My pawns are starting to take effect. The black destruction serpent dragon had a playful expression. Through the mark of destruction, it could clearly see the situation within Xieyang Palace. From this angle, it was like an outsider watching a cage fight. At the same time, in a certain corner of Xieyang Palace, two purple-haired figures were hiding in a large tree. Our next target is Sky Sword Pavilion. The little sword saint of Sky Sword Pavilion isn't simple. We need to be more careful this time. The faces of the two purple-haired figures were the same as Zhao Feng and Nan Gongxing. Right at this moment, an emotionless voice sounded in their ears along with the destructive dragon's aura. Be careful. The real demonic duo might have already seen through your identities. Yes. Lord Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. The two purple-haired figures had respectful expressions. At this moment, the group from Sky Sword Pavilion entered a hexagonal metal building not far away. The six-sided building was made of dark red metal, and it radiated a scorching aura before it even got close. Building of Refinement. The Heavenly Sword Pavilion's Whitebeard's eyes shone as he recognized the three words on the building. Hearing that, the hearts of the geniuses behind him shook. I seem to hear the call of the peerless divine sword. The Whitebeard closed his eyes and entered a profound state of the Tao of the sword. Suddenly, his white hair and beard fluttered even though there was no wind. His eyes shot out a divine light of sword intent that could pierce through the clouds. Who's there? The little sword saint with the white beard turned around without any warning. In a split second, a brilliant, dazzling, translucent sword aura surrounded the overwhelming, colorful phantom of sword aura. It pierced through the physical world and the spiritual world and pierced a tree behind him. Arg! What a terrifying sword intent attack! The hearts of the two purple-haired figures on the tree shook. In that instant, the white beard's sharp face expanded in their vision, and the swordlight that covered heaven and earth made their minds go into chaos. Hiss! The two purple-haired figures let out a muffled groan on the spot. Immediately, they turned into a silver-purple light and disappeared into the distant garden. Senior Sword Saint, those two seem to be the purple-haired demonic duo. A young sword cultivator from the Sky Sword Pavilion who had just advanced said respectfully. Just now, the power of Whitebeard's sword Tao was simply shocking. The invisible sword intent penetrated the material and spirit. Humph! They were just two clowns of the strange races. But I don't want to waste my life energy on them. Whitebeard sneered. With that, he led the people of the Sky Sword Pavilion to the hexagonal metal building called the Building of Refinement. The hexagonal metal building had black metal doors in the front and back. The pitch-black gate blocked the path of the Sky Sword Pavilion. There must be a peerless divine weapon in the Building of Refinement. If I can get a powerful sword divine weapon, I might be able to fight against the Black Jiao Dragon, Whitebeard said solemnly. The people of the Sky Sword Pavilion stopped in front of the Building of Refinement and started to study it. After a while, another group landed in front of the Building of Refinement. This group was even stronger than the ones from the Sky Sword Pavilion. Great Gone Imperials. An invisible light flashed in the eyes of the cold female sword cultivator in black robes from the Sky Sword Pavilion. As expected, the figures of the 8th Prince, the 9th Prince, the 13th Prince, and company appeared in her sight. My sacred Emperor's sword can sense a powerful divine weapon sword intent here. The 13th Prince's eyebrows rose up as he inspected the hexagonal metal building. Screech! The spiritual connection mouse on Luo Zun's shoulder gave off an excited sound. Looks like there's definitely a great treasure in the Building of Refinement, especially a divine weapon of the Tao of the Sword. The 8th Prince started to think. In front of the Building of Refinement, the Great Gone Imperials also started to study it. One of the blacksmiths from the Imperials soon found the flaw in the God's Forbidden Array around the Building of Refinement. As I thought, if the God's Forbidden Array was complete, the aura of a great treasure wouldn't have leaked out and been sensed by us. The blacksmiths had a smile on their face. In a corner of a distant garden, that old bastard is too terrifying. Two purple-haired figures looked at each other with solemn expressions. Whoosh! Whoosh! With a flash of light, the two purple-haired figures turned into two non-human males. One of them was covered in blue scales and had a blue horn on his head. He seemed to be from the serpent dragon race. The other person was a male outsider. He had a pair of earthy yellow crystal horns on his head and a pair of green beady eyes. His entire body was covered in dark green camouflage, which blended in with the aura of the surrounding environment. This old fart's strength might be the strongest and most terrifying among all the outsiders. The Blue Serpent King Wei Jing said with wariness. He's too scary. The non-human male with green eyes said in shock. Even an emperor might not be his match. Even my Thousand Changes dragon bloodline wasn't able to escape his eyes. There's no need to rush. It's not like this Whitebeard doesn't have any weaknesses. Although he was a peak emperor in the past, and had a chance to break through to the mystic light realm, his lifespan has reached its limit. His soul life force has withered, and his cultivation has dropped. Any attack that's too strong will use up his life force and soul, Wei Jing said. Wei Jing said calmly. Wei Jing had heard of the Little Sword Saint's deeds in the past. It was definitely a miraculous story. When the Little Sword Saint first started cultivating, his state of existence and body were extremely normal. However, his comprehension of the Tao of the Sword had reached a terrifying level, and he became a Void God Realm King and an Emperor after countless years of hard work. However, the Little Sword Saint's soul and life force withered because he killed a mystic Light Realm Sacred Lord. Now, the Little Sword Saint relied on his powerful sword Tao intent and some secret treasures to barely slow down the wither of his soul and life force. If he couldn't find enough heaven-defying items in the Divine Illusion dimension, the Little Sword Saint wouldn't be able to live for more than 3 years. There might be valuable treasures in the Building of Refinement. The two of you can't miss this chance. The Black Serpent Dragon's voice suddenly sounded in their minds. Valuable treasures! Wei Jing and the beady-eyed male looked at each other and felt their hearts beat faster. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's standards were extremely high. How could a valuable treasure in its eyes be a normal weapon? The Black Serpent Dragon's warning made Wei Jing and the beady-eyed male pause. We'll have a chance to sneak in when there are more people. If the Little Sword Saint didn't attack us with his sword intent, we wouldn't be able to tell if it's real or fake. The beady-eyed male also nodded his head. With the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's warning behind them, they were like fish in water in Xieyang Palace. However, Just as the two of them were quietly plotting, a shocking scene appeared. That's. The beady-eyed male raised his head and looked at the sky. At the same time, the members of Sky Sword Pavilion and the Imperials in front of the six-sided metallic building seemed to sense something and raised their heads. Only to see, a faint purple transparent eye of heaven seemed to be embedded in this part of the void, looking down coldly like the heavenly Tao. The heart of the white beard from Sky Sword Pavilion shook, and he couldn't help but look at the eye of heaven. Even with his invisible sword intent, he couldn't see what form the eye of heaven existed in. This eye. The eighth prince felt that it was slightly familiar. She! The spiritual connection mouse on Luo Zun's shoulder trembled in fear as the eye of heaven looked down. In front of the six-sided building, the geniuses and elites of the forces fell into a momentary silence. The eye of heaven in the sky looked down with a mental energy pressure that couldn't be defied. Even the little sword saint felt pressured. In a faraway garden. What kind of existence is this? Wei Jing and the beady-eyed male felt the coldness and power within the divine light of the eye of heaven. Their hair stood on end, as if the eye of heaven was purposely staring at them. Shwa! The camouflage light around the beady-eyed male flashed. In the next instant, Wei Jing and the beady-eyed male disappeared from where they stood. A few breaths later, the two disguised themselves as two small trees and hid in the garden. Humph! A cold voice sounded next to their ears, and it was accompanied by a wave of mental energy pain. Wei Jing and the green bean-eyed man's foreheads were dripping with sweat. Shwa! Luckily, the eye of heaven only paused for a couple of seconds, as if it was just looking down from the sky. Lord Black Serpent Dragon, what is that eye? The beady-eyed male couldn't help but ask as his hairs stood on end. The eye of heaven didn't seem to have any offensive abilities, but it gave them a strong sense of danger and pressure. Ant, you're courting death! The enraged roar of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon sounded next to their ears. Wei Jing and the beady-eyed male felt their blood shake. The source of the voice came from the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Next to the God's Forbidden Array in Xieyang Palace, Shwa! A transparent purple eye of heaven faced off with the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon on the other side of the God's Forbidden Array. Mental energy spike! A transparent purple spike shot out of the eye of heaven and pierced into the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's soul. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon didn't move, but it was enraged. A measly ant dared to attack the mighty Destruction Race? Boom! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon slashed out with its claws, but it was blocked by the God's Forbidden Array. The God's Forbidden Array was very unique. Attacks from the outside would be blocked, but attacks from the inside wouldn't be affected. Void Space Eye Slash! A 2-yard-long blade that radiated an immortal and undying aura of God Tribulation lightning pierced through the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's head. Bam! Faint lines of blood appeared on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's head, but they instantly healed. With the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's giant body twisted in the air as it slammed into the God's Forbidden Array. Its roar of anger shocked the geniuses and elites within Xieyang Palace through the mark of destruction. Wei Jing and the beady-eyed male's connection with the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon was extremely close. Their blood boiled, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Shwa! The eye of heaven only stopped for a few breaths within the walls of Xieyang Palace and attacked a few times before quickly fading away. As expected, the Destruction Dragon body. In a cellar within the depths of Xieyang Palace, Zhao Feng slowly opened his eyes. What happened just now? Nen Gongxing heard the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's angry roar, and the mark of destruction within his body felt like it was burning. He obviously didn't know. Zhao Feng had just used the Eye of Heaven to observe and grasp the situation within Xieyang Palace, and he had unleashed a probing attack on the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. Chapter 843. After so many years, Zhao Feng once again used the Eye of Heaven. He didn't do this to show off to the other forces or to provoke the unrivaled Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. He only had one goal, and that was to control the situation in Xieyang Palace. With the appearance of the fake demonic duo, the hatred of the other forces, and the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon controlling Xieyang Palace, Zhao Feng started to lose control of the situation. In front of a strong enemy, danger and fortune existed at the same time. This wasn't something he wanted to see. Through the eye of heaven, Zhao Feng could see the entire Xieyang Palace and grasp the general situation once more. Just as he had guessed, the fake demonic duo was indeed controlled by the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. If it wasn't for the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's guidance, how could the fake demonic duo appear at the critical moment every time and escape? Apart from Zhao Feng's Eye of Heaven, only the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon had the ability to see the entire situation. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon also controlled the situation in Xieyang Palace through the marks of destruction that had been imprinted in everyone's bodies. The difference was, right now, the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon couldn't directly participate, so it needed the Blue Serpent King and company to influence the situation in Xieyang Palace. Roar! Boom! Boom! The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's furious attacks became more frequent outside Xieyang Palace. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon might be able to enter Xieyang Palace in 20 or so days. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon's original plan was to use these outsiders to act as its vanguard. After all, it was wary of the ancient god Xieyang. There were also many dangers within the evil god palace. What happened just now? Nan Gongsheng looked at Zhao Feng with surprise in the cellar. At this time, he realized that Zhao Feng's face was calm and confident, as if he was in control of the situation. It wasn't hard for Nan Gongsheng to guess that what happened just now had something to do with Zhao Feng. Let's take care of a small problem before we take action. Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. You mean, the marks of destruction? Nan Gongsheng immediately understood. Zhao Feng nodded and sat cross-legged. In the cellar, Zhao Feng and Nan Gongsheng started to think of ways to dissolve the mark of destruction. In the end, this simplified world annihilation imprint is just a wisp of the world annihilation bloodline's aura. Nan Gongsheng tried to use the power of space and the evil god crystal to devour it, Zhao Feng said. As he spoke, Zhao Feng had already begun to dissolve the world annihilation mark. That world destruction mark contained an extremely powerful destruction intent. Fortunately, Zhao Feng had cultivated the wind lightning inheritance in his previous life, so he had a certain understanding of the destruction intent. The destruction ultimacy of the World Destroyer clan was related to the origin of the world. Pong! Buzz! Zhao Feng circulated the water of wind lightning and took out a green water sky lotus to use its purifying effect. In the depths of his body, wisps of crimson black aura fused into his flesh, bones, and even his soul. Zhao Feng's attempt had no effect on the crimson black aura. Outside Xieyang Palace. Ignorant brat. Even this simplified world annihilation mark can't be dissolved by anyone below the demigod realm. The Black Serpent Dragon revealed a mocking expression as it paused for a moment. However, its expression changed right at this moment. How is this possible? The Black Destruction Serpent Dragon suddenly felt that the world annihilation mark on the other side was weakening. The source was Zhao Feng, one of the purple-haired demonic duo. When several hundred god tribulation lightning symbols suddenly lit up in Zhao Feng's purple soul sea and radiated a power that could shock gods and ghosts alike. The power of the god tribulation lightning merged into the water of wind lightning and started to eliminate the wisps of crimson black aura within his body. Luckily, I've recovered some of my emperor intent. Zhao Feng could control a portion of the god tribulation lightning within his body. With his experience from his previous life, he was like a fish in water. The water of wind lightning was extremely compatible, so it easily merged into his flesh, bones, and even his bloodline and started to cleanse the aura of the mark of destruction. However, the aura of the mark of destruction was related to the laws of heaven and earth. Even the god tribulation lightning wasn't able to suppress it. Zhao Feng's advantage was that he was the owner of this body. However, The mark of destruction was isolated and had no help. It could be seen with the god's spiritual eye. An hour later, Zhao Feng forced the aura of the mark of destruction into a small corner, and sealed it by the water of wind lightning, which had merged with the god tribulation lightning, and started to wear it down. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng helped Nan Gongxing deal with the mark of destruction. In reality, Nan Gongxing's talent in space and the power of the evil god crystal allowed him to threaten the mark of destruction. However, he didn't have the god's spiritual eye, so he couldn't clearly sense the aura of the mark of destruction. Pa! Zhao Feng patted Nan Gongxing's shoulder. Instantly, Nan Gongxing's senses shook, and the aura of the mark of destruction within his body appeared. This sensory ability! Nan Gongxing's heart shook. Zhao Feng had shared the senses of his god's spiritual eye with Nan Gongxing's body. Nan Gongxing's blurry senses towards the aura of the mark of destruction became dozens or even hundreds of times clearer. He immediately circulated a wicked silver and purple light that enveloped the wisps of scarlet-black aura and started to devour it. When the evil god crystal within Nan Gongxing's body started to tremble and radiate rings of purple light, the powerful aura even made Zhao Feng, who was next to him, feel suffocated. As expected of a true god crystal, Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. Most of the god crystals that appeared in the world were substandard god crystals, such as the god crystals used in the spiritual zone teleportation array. In reality, substandard god crystals contained limitless power. Zhao Feng's flying flaming chariot had a substandard god crystal embedded in it, and it had almost an endless amount of energy. The evil god crystal that Nan Gongxing had obtained was even more unique. It was at least a true god crystal, and apparently it was the product of the evil god's power of God. A while later, Nan Gongxing successfully blocked off the aura of the mark of destruction and started to slowly wear it down. However, neither Zhao Feng nor Nan Gongxing were able to dissolve the mark of destruction in a short amount of time. I need around 1 day, and Nan Gongxing needs 2. Zhao Feng did a rough calculation. While dissolving the mark of destruction, Zhao Feng also paid attention to the inner circle of Xianyang Palace. In front of the hexagonal building of refinement within Xianyang Palace, the Imperials and Sky Sword Pavilion were trying to break the god's forbidden array within the building of refinement. Before this, most of the treasures that they obtained outside of Xianyang Palace weren't protected by the god's forbidden array. They were all extremely common things in god palaces. However, the building of refinement in front of them was different. It was protected by the god's forbidden array. Everyone, don't worry. The god's forbidden array within the god palace doesn't have much backlash. It's mainly used to protect the building itself, the array master from the Imperials said. Apart from the Imperials and Sky Sword Pavilion, the Duanmu family, Chao family, Grand Duke Yuan's palace, and some other groups had also joined in. There was more than one Void God Realm King among these groups. After entering Xianyang Palace, most of the geniuses and elites had obtained treasures. Right now, every member had battle power comparable to a king at least. They couldn't be underestimated. This old man's idea is to use an array to break an array. We'll create an array that's the opposite of the original and expand the weakness of the building of refinement, the array master said with a smile. Experts from all the forces that were proficient in arrays started to create an array in front of the building of refinement. Half a day later, a complex and powerful array was created in front of the building of refinement. One boom! A dark red flow of fire appeared on the surface of the building of refinement. Many of the experts in the nearby teams felt a burning sensation. Their mouths were dry like ants on a hot pan. If they stayed nearby for too long, even Void God Realm Kings might be roasted alive. Luckily, the weakness in front of the building of refinement started to slowly expand. The teams from the various forces took turns to send people up to support the formation. We'll be able to enter the building of refinement in less than a day. If my guesses are correct, this should be the place within Xianyang Palace where weapons are forged and repaired. The array master smiled and stroked his beard. In a garden in the distance, two purple-haired figures merged into a patch of trees and observed everything that was happening within the building of refinement. We'll act according to the situation after the building of refinement opens. Strong anticipation appeared on the Blue Serpent King Wei Jing's face. At this moment, the building of refinement hadn't even opened yet, but it already radiated the aura of a weapon. The Black Serpent Dragon had once said that there might be valuable weapons within the building of refinement. At the same time, in the depths of Xianyang Palace, in front of a dark wooden building, the geniuses and elites of Sky Suspension Palace, led by Xianyuan Wen and the other two kings, stood in front of a door. Heaven's Legacy Mystic Technique, open! Senior Brother Zhuge drew a dark green water tadpole rune with one hand. The rune released an ancient golden light that twisted and fused with the door. Xianyuan Wen and the apricot-robed female each put a hand on Senior Martial Brother Zhuge's shoulder. Creak! The door to the dark building was pushed open by Senior Martial Brother Zhuge. Instantly, inside the pavilion, ancient books that were glowing faintly in various colors entered everyone's field of vision. The ancient books floated within the building like countless stars in space. There were at least several tens of thousands of them. Whoosh! 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 Those from Sky Suspension Palace quickly entered the dark building. Creak! Senior Martial Brother Zhuge carefully closed the door. However, no one noticed anything. When the last half-step king disciple entered the building, a transparent purple eye of heaven appeared in the air above the building. The eye of heaven flashed with a weird light, and it smiled faintly before disappearing from the sky. Within the cellar of Xianyang Palace. I've successfully resolved it. Zhao Feng suddenly opened his eyes. The scarlet-black aura of the mark of destruction within his body had disappeared. The power of the god Tribulation Lightning was indeed worthy of being Zhao Feng's killing move. Under the constant wear and tear, he was able to resolve the simplified mark of destruction. For the next half a day, Zhao Feng helped Nan Gongxing resolve the mark of destruction within his body. An hour later, in front of the building of refinement. Success! The dark red flames on the surface of the hexagonal metallic building dimmed, especially the area in front of the door. Boom crack! The black metallic door was pushed open by an invisible force, and the five-colored array in front of the building of refinement instantly shattered. Whoosh! The instant the metallic door opened, a terrifyingly hot aura of fire shot out, and a half-transparent dark red wind swept across the experts at the door. Arg! Screams sounded in front of the building of refinement. The bodies of some geniuses and elites that weren't prepared in time started to melt and turn into a pile of ashes. Chapter 844. Arg! That terrifyingly hot fire chi current poured out of the building of refinement's door. Amid screams, 4 or 5 elite geniuses were melted into a pile of ashes, and dozens of half-step king and king warriors were burned. A newly advanced king from the Great Gone Imperials was hit by the gust of wind, and his charred body fell in front of the door. In front of the black metal door of the building of refinement, the Imperials, Sky Sword Pavilion, Duanmu family, Grand Duke Yuan's palace, and other forces all took this chance. Si! Those experts who had escaped the calamity still had lingering fear in their hearts as they sucked in a breath of cold air. If they were hit head-on, over 90% of the geniuses and elites present wouldn't be able to escape. It could only be said that the people near the door had bad luck. Most of the time, the ones that could last until the end and become the biggest winners weren't necessarily the ones with the strongest battle power. Maybe they were just lucky. This old man was careless. The building of refinement hasn't been open for too long, so the flames inside haven't been extinguished yet. Because the heat isn't dissipating well, there's a surge of heat inside. The moment the door opened, the fiery energy poured out. The array Grandmaster from the Imperials had an uneasy expression. His face and clothes were also charred. If it wasn't for the 8th Prince and the wrinkled elder protecting him at the critical moment, he wouldn't have been able to escape either. A while later, the heat inside the building of refinement wasn't as obvious anymore, but it was still as hot as before. No one dared to pass through the black metal door. It's best to wait for half a day and let the heat inside the building of refinement dissipate as much as possible. 2 or 3 array grandmasters present gave the same opinion. Through the black metal door, everyone could see a giant furnace inside the building of refinement that gave off a scarlet glow. Instead of calling this furnace a furnace, it was more accurate to call it an underground pit of fire. In fact, it was an abyss of fire. Even though they were far away, the light from the furnace pit gave everyone a suffocating burning sensation. Even after such a long time, this furnace can still give off such a terrifying heat. There were many elites of the older generation present that specialized in blacksmithing. The fire inside the pit of fire seemed to be eternal, and it overturned everyone's common sense. Perhaps this is the realm of God! Everyone exclaimed in surprise, excitement, and anticipation on their faces. Maybe they had already reached an important place in Sieyang Palace. Although they had obtained a lot of fortune before this, they were all very normal things in Sieyang Palace. Everyone, be careful! I can sense a forbidden flame within this furnace. Even a demigod wouldn't be able to escape unscathed once it erupts. The Sky Sword Pavilion's white beard said in a deep voice. When everyone heard this, their hearts trembled. A power that even a demigod could not escape from unscathed, it was probably something at the level of a heavenly god. Time passed. The heat emitted by the building of refinement was gradually decreasing. Half a day later, the high-temperature flame energy that had accumulated for a long time had mostly dissipated. At this moment, inside the dazzling building of refinement, the light became a little softer. Inside, one could see some messy forging ores, broken divine weapons, and other broken pieces. Even though they were separated by a great distance, the aura they exuded still made everyone's heart palpitate. When everyone's divine weapons started to tremble for some reason, even a small number of inheritance sacred weapons were no exception. The sacred emperor's sword in the 13th prince's hand hummed and trembled with excitement. Divine fallen metal. That's an ancient material that's sealed in a forbidden ground of the Imperials. The 8th prince was stunned. He recognized that there was a type of forging or called divine fallen metal in front of the pit of refinement. This type of forging ore was extremely rare in the Great Gon Lord dynasty. Even the Great Gon Imperials only had a few pieces, and they had to be sealed away. This was just one of the many types of forging ore. Forging materials like the divine fallen metal could be seen everywhere in front of the pit of refinement. Of course, what was truly tempting was the broken divine weapons, broken pieces, and even half-finished and finished products in front of the pit of refinement. The aura of a world-shaking divine weapon seemed to come from the depths of the pit of refinement. Only the little sword saint, the 9th prince, Zhao Yufei, and a few others could feel the aura of what seemed to be a complete divine weapon in the depths of the pit of refinement. However, these auras had been silent for too long. They didn't even dare to touch them in fear of attracting an unstoppable disaster. After all, this was the building of refinement of the God Palace. It wouldn't be surprising if heaven-grade divine weapons or even legendary ancient god weapons appeared here. I'll go in and take a look. The little sword saint's eyes were filled with sharpness and determination, and he radiated a transcendental aura of sword courage that ignored life and death. Sim. With a flash of white, the white-bearded little sword saint was the first to step into the building of refinement. The geniuses and elites behind him were filled with respect as they watched the white-bearded little sword saint leave. Many people knew that the little sword saint's lifespan was reaching its end, and he was ready to fight to the death when he entered Sieyang Palace. Follow him. Sky Sword Pavilion, the Imperials, the Duanmu family, and the other groups carefully followed behind the little sword saint. S.I. Everyone's feet felt hot when they stepped into the building of refinement. Arg! The burning sensation made many geniuses jump up and down as they screamed. At this moment, the experts that cultivated the Tao of Fire or the Tao of Ice or the Tao of Water felt slightly better. The geniuses that cultivated the Tao of Fire had a stronger resistance against heat, while the experts that cultivated the Tao of Ice and the Tao of Water could effectively block and dissolve the heat. The temperature is too high. The 13th prince of the Imperials felt unbearably hot. Although he had become a king in Xieyang Palace, he had never experienced such pain with his noble birth. It's too hot. Even emperors would be cooked if they stayed here for too long. The half-step kings had sweat on their foreheads, and their bodies were burning uneasily after just a few breaths of time. Within the building of refinement, with the smelting fire pit as the center, the closer one was to it, the higher the temperature would be. At this moment, everyone had just entered the building of refinement, and they were only at the outskirts. They hadn't even entered the depths, let alone the furnace. However, most of the broken divine weapons and ores were close to the fire pit. Any one or two of these damaged weapons and ores would cause 3-star and 4-star sects to fight over them if they were to appear in the outside world. One of them was a very normal divine fallen metal, and the great gone Imperials had sealed it away. The ones that were more valuable were the more complete weapons. We're close. The white-bearded little sword saint had a faint smile as if he had seen through life and death. His whole body was surrounded by a layer of dazzling sword light that looked like a white rainbow. He approached the smelting furnace step by step, walking in front of everyone. At this moment, the powerful sword chi from the white-bearded man's body made everyone's heart jump. Jiang! A soul-shaking sword hum suddenly sounded from the depths of the building of refinement. Everyone's soul, blood, and true yuan started to tremble. What a terrifying sword aura! The sword hum made all the kings and half-step kings feel as if their bodies had been pierced, and their footsteps froze. Everyone barely managed to look over. Near the smelting furnace pit, there was a rusted copper sword stuck in the ground. Everyone's eyes widened in shock. The rusty sword looked like scrap metal, but if one looked closely, they would find that it was made of an ancient material. Jiang! The rusty bronze sword was stabbed into the ground, and as it hummed, a peerless aura of the sword Tao pierced through the physical world and into the soul. Wah! Wah! Some geniuses who didn't have enough mental strength immediately spat out blood as their minds were injured. Plop! Plop! Adding on the high temperature of the building of refinement, a few half-step kings couldn't withstand it and fainted. How is this possible? The sacred emperor's sword on the 13th prince's body started to tremble. In the sound of the rusted copper sword, even the emperor's sword was somewhat fearful. Even a heaven-grade weapon can't make the sacred emperor's sword fear it. On top of that, this is just a broken weapon, and its power and spirituality have been greatly reduced. The people of the great Qian Imperials were astonished. The 8th prince, the 9th prince, and the 13th prince exchanged glances with each other in shock. Being members of the Imperials, they obviously knew what the sacred emperor's sword meant. Even though the sacred emperor's sword couldn't unleash its true power in the divine illusion dimension, it was still extremely powerful. Ancient god sword! This is probably a broken ancient god weapon! The 3 princes of the Great Gone Lord dynasty came to a conclusion in shock. This conclusion caused the trio to feel even more fearful. When the grade of a divine weapon reached a shocking level, it would probably become a hot potato. Ancient god weapons came from the ancient era or even the immemorial era. How strong they were was only limited to the legendary era. A few thousand years ago, a substandard god weapon appeared and directly destroyed a 3-star sect. 3 Saint Lords died as a result. That substandard god weapon came from a 4-star power, Sky Suspension Palace. Exclamations sounded from within the furnace. Of course. The rusty bronze sword in front of them wasn't a substandard god weapon. It only had a wisp of aura left, but it was enough to make the sacred emperor's sword fear it. Outside the building of refinement. The aura of an ancient god weapon! 2 purple-haired figures were covered in a layer of silver and purple as they entered the entrance of the building of refinement. Purple-haired demonic duo! Some of the geniuses and elites that couldn't take it anymore and came out to take a breather couldn't help but exclaim with hatred and enmity. However, right now, the scorching heat and the aura of the rusty bronze sword within the building of refinement made most people unable to protect themselves. No one was in the mood to hunt down the purple-haired demonic duo in this situation of unprecedented benefits and danger. It could be said that the purple-haired demonic duo had come at the right time. White beard, who was the strongest in terms of fighting, was completely focused on the ancient god sword. He couldn't be distracted at all. If the little sword saint obtains the recognition of the ancient god's broken sword, he will be invincible among the outsiders. Although the chances of that happening are low, we still have to try. The three princes of the Great Gone Imperials were discussing how to deal with the threat of the ancient god's sword and how to obtain the god meteorite metal and other ores that were closer. At the same time, in front of a dark library within the Xieyang Palace Group's group, the people of Sky Suspension Palace were immersed in reading ancient books that shone like stars in the sky. The aura of an ancient god weapon. Xianyuan suddenly opened his eyes. A weird jade piece in front of his chest started to glow with a pure white light and tremble slightly. Chapter 845. Xianyuan's heart jumped when he sensed the aura of the ancient god weapon, but he didn't leave immediately. He first told Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge and the apricot-robed female. The ancient god weapon exceeds our level by too much. Those who are fated will be able to obtain it. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge held his fan and smiled calmly. Hearing that, Xianyuan nodded his head in agreement. If they had reached the level of a demigod and heard about the ancient god weapon, they would be impatient to fight for it. However, a weapon that exceeded their level by too much didn't have much meaning to most people. On the contrary, it was a hot potato or even a disaster. Of course, there was another important reason. This dim dark book pavilion itself was a great opportunity. Inside the library, many ancient books flickered with a faint light, floating in the air like stars. Each of these books is at least heaven grade, and some have even touched the heavenly divine realm. This book even has the ancient god Xie Yang's notes. The geniuses of Sky Suspension Palace entered their own worlds within the dark library. Each book presented a vast world. The profound knowledge listed in these ancient books was something that even geniuses from four-star sects yearned for even in their dreams. Many of these books are comparable to the core inheritances of the Sky Suspension Palace, and many of them are even comparable to the core techniques of the Sky Suspension Palace. Some of them have even surpassed the current level of the continent. Senior Marshal Brother Zhuge couldn't help but sigh. According to the layout of this library, the books here were only half open to the outside world. However, even then, Sky Suspension Palace spent a lot of effort to barely open it. One book, one world. Don't be greedy. Everyone should just choose one or two books. The apricot-robed female warned. Every heaven-grade skill or above was equivalent to an inheritance, and the knowledge within was like an ocean. Therefore, these geniuses and elites all chose books that were suitable for them and started to absorb them. Even for Void God Realm kings with photographic memory, absorbing all the contents of an ancient book was a very time-consuming and exhausting task. When the content was too large, even if they had photographic memory, it would take time. What no one knew was that, in the Sky Suspension Palace's group, there was a youth in silver armor who was a half-step king, and his eyes flashed with a dreamy purple light. A faint purple mark appeared between the silver-armored youth's eyebrows. This silver-armored youth was one of the weakest of the elites from Sky Suspension Palace that had entered Xieyang Palace. He had always been quiet. He was also the last to enter the dark library. At this moment, the silver-armored youth's actions were slightly abnormal. Whoosh! He quickly took out an ancient book, and a layer of purple light appeared in his eyes. In just a few dozen breaths of time, he expressionlessly took out another book from the sea of books. Nirvana art? Master! Xie Yang! The silver-armored youth was slightly taken aback. Unlike the others who only focused on one or two books, the silver-armored youth had already skimmed through dozens of ancient books. It seems like this library was opened by the ancient god Xie Yang for his servants. This language skill was a simplified version of his vast cultivation system. Even so, this nirvana art can be said to be a supreme evil sacred art in the outside world. The silver-armored youth's eyes flickered. If it was any other time, the geniuses of Sky Suspension Palace would have noticed the abnormality of the silver-armored youth. For example, the mental energy aura in his eyes was several times stronger than normal, and his expression was different from normal. However, at this moment, everyone's attention was focused on a certain ancient book. Schwa! 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 After the silver-armored youth finished reading the Langya skill, he started to flip through other ancient books. He read dozens of books in one breath, and his mind was very tired. He took out some resources and pills from his interspatial ring and ate them. Junior Marshal Brother Deng Chao! The apricot-robed female noticed the abnormality of the silver-armored youth and reminded, I suggest you focus on reading 1 or 2 ancient books that are suitable for you. That will be of great help to you. I understand. The silver-armored youth was neither hot nor cold. After resting, he started to read some more ancient books. Time passed by slowly. By the time most people in Sky Suspension Palace had finished reading the first ancient book, the silver-armored youth had already read more than 100 books, all of which he was interested in. By the time everyone had finished reading the second ancient book, the silver-armored youth had already read 200 to 300 books. At this moment, the silver-armored youth was exhausted. He found a corner and sat down cross-legged, consuming some spirit pills and natural treasures. All right, we'll set off in 2 hours, Brother Jiga said. When his gaze fell on the silver-armored Deng Chao, he frowned slightly, but didn't say anything. In a cellar within the Xieyang Palace complex. Nangongxing, this Langya art should be a simplified version of Xieyang's technique, right? How's your progress? Zhao Feng opened his eyes, a trace of fatigue on his face. It's strange that I can easily grasp the basics of this holy nether art. My ability to use the evil god crystal's power has improved greatly. Nangongxing was surprised. Why would Zhao Feng suddenly have this nirvana art? As expected. Zhao Feng was now even more certain that the dark book pavilion that Sky Suspension Palace had entered was a half-open book pavilion within Xieyang Palace. Right then. The contents of 200 to 300 Xieyang ancient books appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. Many of these Xieyang ancient books were comparable to the inheritances of 3-star or 4-star sects in the outside world. There were a few ancient cultivation techniques that could be compared to the Golden Queen's sacred lightning body and the 5-elemental wind lightning technique. A small number of them were even slightly better than the sacred lightning body and wind lightning technique that Zhao Feng cultivated. However, relatively speaking, the sacred lightning body and wind lightning technique were a perfect match for Zhao Feng. After all, he had the foundation of wind lightning from his previous life, and he had merged the power of the god tribulation lightning into it. Furthermore, most of the Xieyang ancient books were wicked Dao techniques that weren't suitable for Zhao Feng. Although Zhao Feng wouldn't cultivate these ancient texts, they had greatly increased his understanding of the world and his level of cultivation. Through the group of books, Zhao Feng had a thought in his heart. He could merge all sorts of techniques and even create his own. On the other side, in front of the building of refinement, Arg, I can't take it anymore. Several half-step king geniuses rolled out of the black metallic doors. The geniuses raised their smoking feet as soon as they rolled out from the ground. Some geniuses were resting in front of the doors, but their feet were all scorched black. There were also a small number of unconscious people that were carried out by the other members of the group. Apart from a small number of powerful Void God Realm kings, normal half-step kings wouldn't be able to last too long in the building of refinement. At this moment in time, the competition within the building of refinement was extremely intense. The one walking at the very front was still the white-bearded little sword saint of Sky Sword Pavilion. When the sword chi around Whitebeard's body was bright and bright like the sun. He didn't even look around as he suppressed the heat under his feet and approached the rusty bronze sword near the pit. Whitebeard didn't even look at the other pieces of the weapon or the stones that were scattered around. However, he had to overcome the unimaginable power of the sword Dao every step he took as he approached the rusty bronze sword. Every step forward was like a century of torture for Whitebeard. This rusty sword contains the remnant intent and intent of the ancient sword god. It might be able to help me break through my current bottleneck. Whitebeard didn't give up. All he cared about was this sword. On the other hand, the other kings put their focus on the legendary stones and weapon pieces. It wasn't that they didn't want to fight for the ancient god weapon, but they weren't strong enough. Amongst them, the purple-haired demonic duo was extremely eye-catching. Whoosh! The two purple-haired figures would disappear from where they were and suddenly appear from a corner. Half a day later, the purple-haired demonic duo entered the furnace 2 or 3 times and obtained several legendary stones and weapon pieces. They were like fish in water. Purple-haired demonic duo, die! The 13th prince was infuriated, and he drew a dazzling golden sword. Strands of dragon inscription swordchi surrounded it as it slashed at the two purple-haired figures with the might of a ruler. After becoming a king, the 13th prince's sacred emperor's sword had become much stronger. Its power and offense were comparable to an emperor's. This sword suppressed all the geniuses and elites present except for the white-bearded little sword saint. Watch out! The expressions of the purple-haired demonic duo changed dramatically as they quickly retreated. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two disappeared and reappeared on the other side. However, a bloody gash was left behind on the purple-haired youth's body, but it quickly healed as a layer of ice-blue light surrounded it. Are you all right? I'm fine. Every time the sacred emperor's sword leaves its sheath, it will instantly release the power stored within its sheath. In the divine illusion dimension, this power is greatly limited. The purple-haired youth let out a breath. If this was the great Gonlord dynasty, the power of the sacred emperor's sword would at least double, and the restrictions would be even smaller. If that was the case, almost no one present would be able to fight against the 13th prince. What strong defense! The strength of the purple-haired demonic duo increased again. The kings of the Duanmu family, Grand Duke Yuan's palace, and the Chao family were all stunned. During the battle, the purple-haired demonic duo had successfully fought against the Imperials and the other forces. What was different from before was, the demonic duo had mysterious and unfathomable methods of concealment. Once they retreated, it was impossible to find them. The demonic duo's strength increased so quickly, and they even stole our Duanmu family's spoils of war. The people from the Duanmu clan were also gnashing their teeth in hatred. At this moment, the demonic duo appeared and disappeared unpredictably. Among them, the purple-haired youth's physical defense was extremely strong. Even an attack close to the great emperor level couldn't pose any real threat to him. Yufei, the green-robed elder, and the azure-robed male looked toward Zhao Yufei. As they fought, the purple-haired demonic duo intentionally avoided Zhao Yufei. Where do you think you're going? With a shout, Zhao Yufei leapt into the air and attacked, exchanging blows with the purple-haired youth of the demonic duo. Bang! Zhao Yufei was knocked back dozens of meters by an extremely cold and inhuman strength. She floated to the ground, a layer of frost spreading on her jade-like skin. Yufei, are you okay? Those from the Duanmu family immediately protected Zhao Yufei in case the demonic duo pursued her. I'm fine, but he's not Big Brother Zhao Feng. Zhao Yufei's face went red after she landed on the ground, but she spoke confidently. She had held back in the exchange just now because she was wary. However, the other party's attacks were extremely vicious and wanted to kill her.